You're about to listen to TADPOG. Tyler and Dave play old games. It's a comedy video game podcast. We would like to stress that the hosts are not experts and are really just very crass commentators. Seriously, this is an explicit podcast that happens to talk about video games sometimes. So please enjoy this pretty okay podcast with Tyler and Dave.
I guess I'll be Tyler.
Okay.
I'm so nervous.
Oh, man, you got to really sell it.
Hello, Internet.
Hello.
I'm your wizened sage, Ian, in for Tyler, who is ill.
Yeah.
So ill, he absolutely was not willing to try to record the show. And due to other problems, we had to push our record date a few days past our normal time. Mm-hmm. So, welcome to TADPOG minus the T.
TADPOG.
Little homespun artisanal podcast where we talk about old video games. Mm-hmm. With me today, I'm going to go in my NPR voice. With me today.
That's how we started. That's
Is
the
our-
first 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Like that.
is our bespectacled host, Dave.
Hello.
Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
And also joining us tonight is our own Captain Gun Nerd, John Turley. Hello, John.
Hello, Ian.
Filling in for Ian. Ian's filling in for Tyler.
I'm filling in for
I'm
Tyler.
filling in for Ian.
I'm just here.
You're just
Yeah, exactly.
We're all bespectacled hosts, though.
That is true.
But we are.
Our eyes
We
are
are.
weak as fuck.
Yeah. We got all the lens amplification going on up in here. I got multiple levels of amplification.
I'm supposed to, but I said, no, thank you.
I'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm
They're
just-
like, are you sure we recommend it? Yeah.
I'm
heard
just
me.
super fucking blind. That's I don't have that ultra thin lens technology. These shits look like Coke bottles. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Really. They're thick.
Yeah.
Thick.
Anybody out
You
there?
have them thick glasses.
I have some that was like my spare pair that they didn't do the polishing on the sides, and they look like fucking ice cubes on the side.
If anybody out there listening owns a Lens Crafters or some kind of Lens Crafters, and you're like, who should sell the bifocals to middle-aged men? I don't know, the attractive young lady should do that? No. You think you might sell more bifocals, but no, that's not, in my opinion, how you sell them. I think you send the oldest, wrinklest, driest person you have there. And they're
no, you're gonna want these.
yeah. And I listen, I'd be like, okay.
Listen, I tried to go without the bifocal for a
Right.
long time, and I'm telling you, I couldn't read my phone.
That's fine.
Do you-
I'll buy
do
it.
you
I'm not
work
trying
at
to
a
press you. I'll buy it. Just, shh, be quiet. Just,
You do that progressive thing, right? Where you can't really see them. You can do that? Okay. Yeah, I'll think about it.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm rocking. Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Success Vision. I still can't see for shit. I still can't.
That's their jingle.
I can't. 2 pairs for $39 in an hour or less. You still won't be able to see shit.
I still can't see for shit.
No, they did good.
But they were cheap.
They were cheap. No, they did good. I just can't ever find the right zone in my lenses.
Yeah,
for
you're
where I'm
constantly adjusting the nose pieces
Yeah.
so they're at different places.
at work. Fuck, I gave up. I started just taking them off at my desk and just praying.
I do that
can-
in bed, man. When I'm on I have to read something on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, just lift these. Just take the glasses off. We're not seeing far now. This is a close time.
What blew my mind the other day was, so we have a coworker who's very, very religious, super cool dude, but very religious, and he had the tiniest little Bible I've ever seen, and it was on his keychain, and I didn't know what it was, and I asked him about it, and he pulled it out, and I mean he's a youth pastor or a pastor, I'm not sure, but He pulled it out, and I mean, the text was so small. And one of our other coworkers, who was also very young, was like, "Oh, I'm surprised I can read this." And I pulled it up and looked at it, and I was like, "No fucking way! Like, there is no way I can read this. It is the smallest text I've ever seen." I took my glasses off, though, and held it about 6 inches away from my face. And was like, "Oh, I can read this now."
See, that's what I'm talking about. You're going to need the bifocal. And we can give you the no-line style and the
Like Ross
everything.
Perot is selling me glasses.
That's my thing. I like to do a Ross Perot from time to time.
It's a good Ross Perot.
Thank you.
Yeah, video games or something.
Yeah, no, thanks for listening to Old Guy Talk
Yeah.
About Glasses segment of the
We're
show. Tyler, we hope you get better soon. It was at his insistence that we went ahead and recorded tonight, and
Yeah.
it feels really weird to not have him here.
Yeah.
It
But
do.
I'm going to do my best and say tonight we are talking about Dragon, the the Bruce Lee story.
It's an oldie but a
the
goodie.
movie and the video game, if you can believe they made a video game out of
Man,
this
when
movie.
you told me that, I was like, because you said you were watching Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
Tap
I
B
was
to
like,
hold Brandon
what?
Lee.
I was like, they made a video game out of that movie?
Tap Y to snuggle new baby. It's weird, but there is something to it. So, but before we do all that, what have you guys been up to?
You, Ian, normally go.
Oh shit,
first.
that's right.
yeah.
I'm the first one. You want me to go first?
Please, yeah.
What have you guys been up to? Well, Tyler, let me tell you.
We should have we didn't have time, but we should have a Tyler soundboard.
I really do need
yeah.
a Tyler soundboard. Watch some stuff on the TV. There's a movie we watched called Humane. It's a fairly new movie, directed by Caitlin Cronenberg. If
Oh.
that sounds familiar.
David
She's the
Cronenberg's
daughter
relation?
of David Cronenberg.
Okay.
Emily Hampshire from Schitt's Creek is in it, as is Jay Baruchel, the guy from Tropic Thunder.
Who did she play in Schitt's Creek?
She was the main girl, not the daughter.
Stevie.
Yes, the girlfriend of
David, sorta?
David's sort of girlfriend. Yeah.
Welcome to Schitt's Creek talk.
The gist of this movie is that it's set semi in the future, and the world climate has just gone to shit, and they figured out that the only
It's
way
not science fiction. It's
no, it's real. It's just
Science.
truly believable. It's believable in that regard for sure. So the world population has to be decreased by 20%, and all the countries have done different things to achieve this. In the United States, we have an enlistment program where you can voluntarily be put to death.
They have like suicide booths, like in Futurama.
Sort of. That the suicide team comes to you.
Oh,
Oh, it's convenient that
It is
way.
convenient. And super eco-friendly because they drive in a giant RV, which is like, come on. But they, you can volunteer, you can enlist, and if you do, your family gets to split like $250,000 for you. They get paid, and they can take the money.
they incentivize it.
They incentivize it, and there's a twist. This turns into sort of
Is
a
it in
horror.
the Purge universe.
It's got those vibes, not like The Purge, but it's just got sort of those end times. People are fucked up and
Dystopian nightmare
in
kind
a
of
way,
shit.
but it all takes place in like one location, in one house, kind of like the first Purge did. The first Purge movie, not the movie The First Purge. Anyway,
Is there a movie called The First Purge?
Yes,
I
it's a
didn't know
prequel
that.
to.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right, it's like the
Weirdly,
year
it's the
that
second Purge, huh?
the year that our founding fathers graced us with the
Okay,
ability
it's that
to purge.
one. Okay.
Yeah,
I feel the urge. the urge
the
to
urge
purge.
to purge. Anyway, this sort of turns
Kick the
into
tires and light the fires.
this sort of turns into kind of a horror film, kind of a suspense horror film. It's super good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend
That
it.
sounds good.
4 stars was insane. Just check it
Now,
out.
if
It's
I were in charge of a country during these times, I would just be like, let's lie about it and say that we're doing it.
That is covered.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You should watch the movie.
All right, sounds like I should.
It's a really new movie.
Okay.
But it's available.
Oh,
if you know
okay.
what I mean.
I do.
Yeah,
Are
that's,
subtitles needed? I hope not.
they work. Can confirm subtitles work
Okay.
on said platform.
Great. Okay.
The second movie I want to talk about.
Yes.
Yes, Cuban
Cuban
B.
Cuban B.
You watched Half Baked?
Recently.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, it came on one night, and I waited.
can't
I
not
watched
watch.
until. Yes,
I mean, if-
Cuban B, and then I started getting ready for bed.
I'm good.
I mean, that's like most of the way through the movie. So,
It is.
Yeah,
you know,
Damn
yeah,
near
it's
the
pretty
end.
deep.
yeah, good shit.
Abracadabra?
The next movie I just watched this yesterday. Another pretty new film from like I think late 2023. It's an A24 movie, which in my estimate, my experience, I should say,
It's
is
usually a sign.
a sign of a good thing. If you are not familiar with A24's catalog, get familiar with it. There's just so many good movies. They tend to be on more of the independent / artsy side, but that shouldn't scare you away.
Kind of like what Miramax was in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like Everything Everywhere All at Once was an A24 film.
Yep.
And
good
there's been
fucking
several
movie.
that I've really enjoyed. But this one is called Iron Claw. And Iron Claw is the tragic tale of, oh my God, is a wrestling movie. The name is the Von something. Oh my God,
The Van
I can't.
Buren Boys?
No. And let's see. Let me.
What was the?
Just
Was there
bear
like a
with
secret
me.
handshake for the
Good
Van Buren
podcasting.
boys? right?
Yeah, or sign. I can't
Yeah,
remember what it was.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a handshake.
It
I've
might have
not
been. It
seen
might have
fucking
been.
Seinfeld in so long.
I watched it during lockdown. So,
The Von Erichs.
Okay.
And they're like one of the more legendary families in the NWA, WWF.
they started
Not-
Facebook, right?
Not
NWA, I went somewhere
NWA,
else entirely.
Not that NWA. National Wrestling Association. It's about this family who's there. It's based on truth, much like Dragon: the Bruce Lee story, based in truth.
Loosely.
But
These people existed.
it's about this family who just had this one tragic thing after another of happened to them, and it was about a domineering father who pushed his sons into wrestling, and they were huge in Texas, and they ended up breaking into the national scene,
Like, what kind of wrestling? Like entertainment?
like WWF,
Okay, so that-
like
that
like Hulk
specifically.
Hogan, all the Ric Flair is featured in the film.
Oh no shit. That's awesome.
Zac Efron is in this movie in a lead role, and it's a really
I think I remember
good
hearing
film.
about this actually.
It's a good film. I don't know if it's going to see any like Oscar attention because it was so late in 2023. By the time they start figuring out what to do for 2024,
Yeah.
or the next Oscar show, it was too late for this year's Oscars and really early for next year's Oscars.
Right.
So it might not get
It's
it.
a lot of time for it to be usurped
It's easily
by other
forgotten.
stuff.
It is, unfortunately, but it did really well, and I very much enjoyed it. Especially if you're into wrestling at all and you know anything about wrestling history, this is a very interesting, very good story. Highly recommend this one as well.
So it sounds like it's fictional, but has like actual
It's-
wrestling,
it's-
like real life components.
Oh yeah,
to
no,
it.
absolutely, and it's not fictional. It's
Oh,
true.
oh, it's. Oh,
They just
okay.
didn't cover. They didn't have time to cover all the shit that happened to these people. They just touched on the main points, and it was a pretty. I think it did a good job paying respect to this family and what they kind of went through. I don't want to give anything away, but there's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy for these guys, and it was a good and heartwarming story which was peppered with a lot of good wrestling action.
Yeah.
I thought it was apropos to bring that up, considering the movie that we watched this week for the show.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same sort of deal, that kind of thing. And then lastly, I thought I would mention, and I did bring this up today earlier, John, so you're going to have to listen to it again. For those of you that are foodies that like the Food Network and shows on the Food Network, there's a show called Best Bite in Town, and it's hosted by
about this.
Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
And he will send his team to a small town somewhere in America, and
Could be very close.
3 people on the that do that are his team will each pick 2 local restaurants and then to decide which of those restaurants they pick to nominate for the best bite in town, and then they bring in a panel of judges who then votes to determine who it was. And the most recent episode of Best Bite in Town took place in good old Paducah, Kentucky.
That's where I'm from.
Me too.
Or where I live.
That's where we're
where I live.
a couple of miles from there right now.
I was disappointed. You can't please. It doesn't matter who you choose. I didn't see the episode.
I haven't
I knew
either,
it was.
no.
I knew it was happening. And the first thing I asked, because Nikki told me about it, I was like, "What are the restaurants?"
yeah. So
Yeah.
we got
And she's like, "Guess." And I started guessing, and she's like, "No." Fuck. I guess another one. No. Forget it.
we got Starnes Barbecue,
Right. That's a great choice.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That was on my list.
Strickland Seafood.
That
which
one was
used-
not.
But that was the guy that used to own Whaler's Catch, which was a long-standing
Yeah,
tradition.
That is
It
true. And if it was Whaler's Catch, like old Whaler's Catch, then I totally.
It would have more charm, at least,
Yes.
than Strickland does.
Yes.
But now Strickland's in the old B. Russell's place now,
Right.
and they're doing great.
Sure.
Their parking lot is packed every day.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they ain't
And it's
hurt-
good.
Yeah,
It's good.
it's good food.
I've only eaten there like twice, but it's
well,
good.
I should clarify. I've not ever eaten at Strickland's, but I ate at Whaler's a whole bunch
Yeah,
back
same.
in its heyday,
Yeah.
and they know what they're fucking
I've been
doing.
to Strickland's. Like it's
Yeah,
it's good.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's good. It's not like what I would consider like Paducah's best,
Right.
But that's just because it's a
Yeah.
seafood restaurant. I mean,
Right.
you know
And
what I mean.
It's hard to pull off seafood this far inland.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think it's a good
Unless it's
restaurant.
It is
catfish,
good.
because we
Unless
got
it is.
plenty of
Ah,
catfish,
yeah,
and we
you're
can
not
cook some catfish around here. I'm a big fan, personally, of the fried catfish. But
Nikki is too.
the 2 more restaurants they picked one was the Cork Room, and another was Artisan Kitchen.
I've never even heard of the Cork Room.
I've heard
until
of it,
like today.
but I haven't been.
It's in far lower town. It's all the way downtown.
I thought it was a bar.
I think it is a bar, but they also apparently have
They got some food.
a menu, a pretty good one from what I understand. And then the Gold Rush Cafe.
I like Gold Rush. I like Artisan Kitchen too.
Yeah.
I think those are both. Those weren't ones that I would have guessed, but when I heard them, I'm like, yeah, okay,
And then the last place they
that.
picked was a vegan restaurant called Branch Out.
right.
I've heard good things.
I have too.
I've never eaten.
I didn't even know about it until I saw the episode. And
Here's what gets me though: is you've got Freight House,
I know. I was surprised
which
Freight House
literally
wasn't on there.
it has been like their head chef is Sarah Bradley, who has been on what was it?
she won Chopped.
Chopped, yeah, which is a Food Network show. It's like this restaurant is considered.
I
Pretty
wonder
fucking-
if I do think that maybe they left Freight House off of this competition
Because of
because
that.
she had already gone and kicked the ass of
Yeah,
the other show, and I feel like it would be kind of like
I get
they're
it.
probably
but-
trying to think maybe it's unfair to
Yeah,
focus on
maybe,
just
maybe.
the one place when we really do have a lot of
That's true.
good
There's some
places
really
here.
fucking good restaurants for the size of the town. There are some remarkably good restaurants.
I did throw my hands up when Just Burgers wasn't on there. Like, I'm such a fucking fan of that restaurant, and it being Guy Fieri. I was like, come on,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Come on, man.
You
You,
would
gotta
think
get on
He
that.
would be all about their special burgers.
which
'cause they're
which special
so-
burger do you think they would choose to feature on Best Bites if just hamburgers had been selected?
Which one would they choose?
You think it'd be the Red Zeppelin?
That's?
Oh, I want the Bombas.
if it were me, I would be like, I would go with the Nebula. The Bombas is great,
Nebula's a good one.
For the purposes of the show, yeah, probably the Red Zeppelin. But I think that would be a mistake because I don't think it's their
Right.
best burger.
Well, so at the Gold Rush, they have this one burger called the Egg Scallop Burger.
yeah.
This thing is 2 grilled cheese sandwiches that serve as the bun to a double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
A fully dressed double cheeseburger.
I haven't had
and
it.
it's run through with
Is it a
steak
bacon
knife.
double cheeseburger?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it is.
And it's run through with a steak knife, like, Excalibur through the stone.
fucking
sword in the
beautiful,
stone.
yeah.
So anyway, the reason I bring this up,
It's exciting.
it is cool. It was neat. I was talking about this earlier. It was really neat to see Paducah filmed in a high definition, professionally done way
Yeah.
that wasn't for some fucking car dealership commercial.
Tourist video.
Come on down, we'll treat you right.
Come on down, we'll treat you right. Full tank of gas with every deal.
Stop.
I'll never stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
Come on down and get this Xbox.
Mama says if you don't sell this car, I always hate it when the kids are on.
Yeah, it's the fucking worst.
Yeah, they're bad. There's this one car dealership. I think it's actually in Heron, though, Heron, Illinois. And the girl I've watched this
She's growing
girl.
up.
She has been in this guy's, her daddy's car dealership commercial since she was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's a grown woman. And I think and she'll be like, we'll make you happy. That's their little tagline. And I'm just like, I am old. That little girl.
That makes me sad.
She is an adult now.
She
was-
selling the cars now.
She was the opposite of an adult when she was doing these commercials. Anyway, the reason I brought this up, it was neat to see Paducah. I do recommend for those of you that have never seen or been to Paducah, if you're curious, it's a neat way to get sort of a picture of really a lot of what kind of goes on around here, which is eating. I've said for years that Paducah is Pawnee of Kentucky, and it's a really neat view of Paducah, and it's a really cool way of doing it. But the reason I brought this up is because the Cork Room. Now, massive spoilers for the episode coming up for any of you that really actually give a shit. If you don't want to know how it ends,
I do. I definitely do.
then skip
Same.
forward 5 minutes or
Sounds
whatever.
like the Cork Room did pretty well.
It was the Cork Room.
Yeah.
And what's cool about that is that the young woman who is in the show for the Cork Room that made the dish that won the best bite is my son's ex-girlfriend who lived with us for a little while.
It's a small town.
Yeah, and he and she actually
It's like a Peter Griffin statement.
That's great. It's a small town. They
Quahog, Kentucky.
They lived with us for a little while, and then they actually moved to Seattle and lived in Seattle for 6 or 7 months together. And then they came back, and it didn't work out between them. But she and my wife stayed in touch they still do. They're still buds, and they kind of bonded and got close.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really neat to see Andrea's her name, Andrea Jones, and she does not work for the Cork Room anymore. There was some bad shit that went down there, like they were taking recipes that she created and not giving her credit for them, and so she's now started her own thing up near Kentucky Lake, which is a brilliant move.
Yeah.
'Cause if you can put a high-end restaurant up by a bunch of high-end people's boats,
Yeah.
they'll come eat at your place.
There's yeah, you might not think it, but there's some fucking money up in there,
There's
man.
a lot of money up at the lake, and so she's still doing okay. But I knew sort of the outcome because we're friends with her and everything. But I did want to say congratulations to Andrea for winning Best Bite in Town. She got to meet the guy that was sort of assigned to her from the show.
Mm-hmm.
She apparently idolizes this guy anyway, loves his work, and so you could just see her kind of geeking out the whole
Beaming.
time. And then she got to have a video call with Guy Fieri and got like $5,000, and then they donated $5,000 to a charity
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
she got to choose, and it was neat. So
That's cool.
I just wanted to say that it was really cool to see Paducah on
Yeah.
TV in such a nice, positive way.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Andrea for winning Best Bite in Town. That's awesome. She probably doesn't listen to the show, but all of y'all should watch the episode because, again, it is a neat look at Paducah, and you can get a better picture of what it's like than the picture of just hamburgers I posted in the Discord a couple of years ago, because it really is. It is a nice little town.
I need to post a picture of the country castle in the Discord.
Be sure to include the strip club that's right next door.
Oh, of course.
That would be incognito. Incognito.
I think it's Incognitos, which I think is an odd name.
Incognitos?
I think it is.
Really?
I wouldn't bet
There's
you
like
money
a
on
like
it.
So
an
who is-
apostrophe in that motherfucker.
Which one are you-
I don't think there is. I think it's just
Really?
like we're gonna pluralize this word. I'm gonna look it up.
I thought it was
It's
incognito.
next to the Walmarts in Jasmine's.
Yeah, maybe I just southern that right the fuck up. I don't know. That is very fucking possible.
Which one of you is incognito, and why do you own a strip club?
It is. Sorry, you guys are right. It is incognito.
Okay.
Gentlemen's club.
Gentlemen's Club. Yes, only gentlemen.
It's not.
I haven't seen a lot of gentlemen.
It is
I ain't
not.
a lot of gentlemen in there. I'm gonna tell you that right fucking now. But yeah, we need a picture of the castle.
Castle's all right. I like the castle. I wouldn't put it on this show.
So
No,
I got
no,
I
it
got
has
mad
no-
nostalgia. I would.
but the castle, like, if you want some fried food,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, it's like a dive restaurant.
yeah,
you
it's
know?
good. It's
I
good.
love it.
But everything's
Fucking love
fried.
it.
I mean, it is like,
Yeah.
you and I would go there and be like, all right, we want
It's
this
like-
fried thing and that fried thing.
It's
and
like
this
Uncle Mo's
The mutton-
fabulous
the mutton
eatery
is-
emporium or whatever. You
Yeah.
can literally get anything fried.
The mutton is what I would recommend though.
The mutton's
for
good.
The show.
Yeah, well,
because
the mutton-
the mutton is good.
The mutton
And it
is
is
good,
made
and it's
right fucking there.
If I'm not mistaken, it's about the only place in Paducah that you can get mutton,
Yeah.
which is too bad because mutton is
It's fucking
delicious.
So this is gonna get in the weeds with local restaurant stuff
Yeah, go
for
for it.
sure.
Oh no.
But I understand Starnes being on that list, but I told Nikki, and I truly believe this, that building to me, that Starnes building is more iconic to me than the barbecue. I think their sauce is really good, but man, Harned's is fucking, I love Harned's barbecue. I think Harned's has better barbecue.
First of all,
than
Starnes' building, as you might catch, you'll catch this if you watch the episode, is painted baby blue and white, and it always has been, and it always will be. The Starnes family has run that place since the 50s.
50s. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And it's been in the same place. They've done it the same way. And one of the neat things that they said, they brought the woman that was in there kind of showcasing and going through the process with them. So he's like, so we're getting out this pork shoulder, you see, and we're gonna throw it on the smoker. And she's like, you're not gonna season it or do anything to it? And he's like, no, we never have. They don't season the meat
Yeah.
at all. They just smoke it. They just smoke the meat and then they grind it up into this little teeny weeny little chopped bites that really brings out the flavor.
Yeah.
But the only flavor that the meat has is the hickory wood from the smoker. They don't put pepper. They don't put a dash of salt on it. It just sits in that smoker for 18 hours, and then they grind it up and serve it on white bread.
On toasted
on
white bread. yeah.
Toasted white bread. And whether you can, their menu is 10 things. And most of that is sides.
Yeah.
Like you want some beans with that, or whatever.
That barbecue, like the barbecue itself, like the meat is really not that great. I mean, it's good, but it's
like
not
it.
like it's
I
not
like it a
standing
lot.
out. But man, the sauce is where it's
the
at.
sauce is
Like,
really good.
And they even said the recipe for the sauce on the show.
no shit.
But you can read the recipe for the sauce on the bottle.
On the
I mean,
label.
Yeah.
it's funny too because they're almost no overhead at this point. They've got 2 employees in the front, maybe 2 or 3 people in the back to smoke the meat and prep it, and that's it. They package that shit. They vacuum seal it. They have the sauce. The lady said this sauce is so good. if you could bottle this and sell it, and the guy goes, "We do, ma'am."
Dude, seriously, like 50% of the restaurants you go to in Paducah will have a bottle of that sauce.
Send me a self-addressed stamped envelope
Buy it at Walmart.
to
Yeah.
Tadpog Studios, care of Nicole Nance, and I will send you a bottle of Starnes. Well, and $4.59, and I will send you a bottle of Starnes barbecue sauce.
It's good.
So you
It's
can
good.
and you can eat it with your barbecue while you're watching it on TV.
And
Get
listen
that
to
full
Tadpog.
experience.
It's immersive. It's 5D.
Immersive. 5D. We're getting taste and smell worked in there.
It's my favorite. Love taste and smelling it.
Boy, I wish they'd figure that out too. I'm not going to say why
Bottle that.
on the show. John
Buy
knows.
that for $1.
John knows what I'm talking
know.
about. John knows what I'm talking about.
If it's $1, I might not want it.
So that's what I have
Cool.
for the show today. Now, Dave, it is your turn to talk about things that you've been up to this week.
Here are the things that I have been up to.
Wait. Let me guess. Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, I wasn't going to lead with that, but yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, been leveling
for you.
Warrior. Got
Good
that
for you.
to like 78, working on that, doing the tanking stuff, getting more comfortable with it, starting to do raids blind as Warrior, where I say
Nice.
blind, but it's stuff I've done before, but like as a DPS, like a
Yeah.
year and a half ago. Don't remember the fights, don't remember any of that, and just going in and being like,
Well, it's not boring that way. If you don't
no,
remember.
it's not, man. It's like, dude, I was running this one fucking dungeon that I've run once, like a long time ago, and man, I felt like that feeling, the heart pumping, and
Yeah.
like, because it was like,
Shit
fuck.
was getting real.
It's
wasn't
like,
it?
yeah, I'm pretty sure I fucking just pulled off way too much than I can, but I gotta like manage all these fucking mitigation cooldowns and like hope the healer's on their game. So yeah, it's fun. I like that because it felt like it gave me that same rush that like PvPing and UO used to.
Man,
where
I've been
it's,
chasing that dragon for years.
20
I know.
years.
I know that feeling. And I occasionally will get it in Overwatch too.
Yeah.
Right before I jump into a competitive match or
Yeah.
something, even though I shouldn't care, I do. I get like fired up, and I'm like,
I
oh
love that
man,
feeling.
get that blood pumping again.
I know,
And
I
I
love
realize I probably have a heart condition, and so I take some medicine, and then I'm fine, and then I can play Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
there have been some matches that me and you have played where at the end of them, I'm like looking at my watch to check my heart rate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
holy shit, man,
Yeah,
I'm
some
sweating.
real blood pumpers for real. We've done a few of those, and just afterwards, both he and I are like, Jesus, I can't believe we won that. So yeah, I get it. That dragon is hard to catch, but fun to chase.
Yeah, it was a good feeling.
Good.
It was and it was completely unexpected too. It was just one of those where it was like, oh no, like, I got way too much shit on me, like way too much. It's like I think I just did 2 pulls in one.
No.
So yeah, it's that kind of stuff is fun. And then going into like trials, which are like boss fights, and like going into raids, which are like bigger content. Going into that as a tank is a lot of fun too, because it's like it's just kind of like, I don't know, a lot's riding on, you know, on the tank, and it's like, I don't know, learning that stuff, and it's totally different, and it's nice where it's like, oh, this content it's the same content, but it's like
But it's a totally different
it's a
dynamic.
different side. Yeah. So it's cool. And then other than that, man, we have been recording Patreon bonus content. We have 2 episodes recorded on the Dark Tower
Yes, we
series
do.
of books.
In the can, ready to go.
They're ready to go.
That slap you just heard was John slapping a mountain of paperback Dark Tower books.
Fucking
Some
huge.
bricks.
I had no idea.
They're literally the size of
these
bricks.
fucking books were this big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we recorded 2 of those. The last one we did was the Drawing into 3. That's the last one.
Have you put any of these up yet?
No.
Okay, I didn't
No, I'm
think
holding
so.
on to them.
I think we talked about it, but never really came to a consensus on what to do. But I didn't know if y'all had gone ahead and published.
Not yet. I want to hold on to them for just a little bit longer, just because of I get a work trip coming up in June,
Right.
and it's one of those where it's like I want to make sure we have enough so that we can
Get
get
you
us
through
they
your
can get us
trip.
through.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's coming. Patreon.com/TADPOG if you want to hear that.
Fresh bonus content is ready. We're going to publish it soon.
But we recorded an episode on the Drawing of the Three, which is my favorite book in the series. And I was so fucking like, we got done recording that, and I was so just thinking about it that I got back on Wind Through the Keyhole,
Okay.
which I had kind of like put to the side because I had just finished, Dark Tower 7, and I was like, "Oh man, what a long, strange journey it's been."
After finishing that whole ass meal,
I didn't want.
It's hard to eat more.
Yeah, I didn't want any more. I was stretched.
It is. Yeah, I get it.
But then what happened was we talked about
were
the
in that
Drawing the
mood.
Three, and it was like, fuck, man, I want to go back to it. Wind Through the Keyhole is a really, really good book.
Yeah,
I
it
think it's
is.
a really good book.
It is a good book.
I've super got into it, and it's one of those where it's like,
You just needed a little break.
I just needed
right?
a little break.
Yep.
I mean, truly, because
Sometimes you got to cleanse the palate. And then,
That's what I did. I got about 3 or 4 chapters into Wind Through the Keyhole right after I finished Dark Tower 7, The Dark Tower, and I was like, I stepped away for like a week, and then I came back to it, and I was able to focus and really enjoy it.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a
not.
great
I've
book.
got like maybe 2 hours left on it, so I'm not done. I don't know if King fucks me at the end, but I mean, it's like so far it is really, really cool to have a story set in like mid-world and set in kind of sorta. It's weird, and it's kind of sort of set in Roland's world. It's a fairy tale, but some of it is definitely Roland's world because there's a story, like you were saying,
Story and
inside a story,
and
inside a story.
Yeah.
And I think
It's Inception.
the two stories I
Yo,
think are
dog.
really interesting because it's like when it switches to the fairy tale. I know, and we're going to do an episode on this, so I guess I don't. wanna
It'll
get
be
too far,
the
but-
last chapter of or the last segment of our 8-part series is when we touch on that one.
Or we also talked about doing the movie and like.
Well, I was thinking we could cover both in the
Cool.
same episode, but maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I know we have the Little Sisters
I
as
still
well.
have to do that one. Yeah.
And then I don't know. I'm on the fence about reading the comics. I really don't want to.
I'm probably not going to.
So,
I'm probably not gonna do
but
that.
but like I feel like the story that of Roland in that book, like it gets to a point where it's like, I want to know how this resolves, and then the third
Yeah,
bit
he gets
starts
to the point where
Yeah.
he's telling the story, the Wind Through the Keyhole.
the meat of it. Yeah, I like it,
and it's a
lot,
great
man.
story. I love that, the little fairy tale story. It's honestly, I wish I could remember it well enough to like tell it orally to people,
Yeah.
like he does.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to tell that story out loud because I love it. I just think it's such a good story.
It is a good story. I like it a lot. What I think is really interesting about it is it's kind of the first time I get to see it's a story told about someone in that universe who is not a gunslinger.
Right.
And there are characters in the books that aren't gunslingers, but they're not the protagonist of the story. This is a child who, and that's Jake was a child. He was a gunslinger. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is from like, this is different. And I think that's cool.
That's awesome. I'm glad you are enjoying that.
Yeah,
That's
I
fun.
like it a lot.
That's
yeah.
fun. If I may come back to
Yeah.
me just one more time real quick. There's one other thing I wanted to mention. I went absolutely batshit crazy about Dungeon Crawler Carl on a recent episode.
That's
of the
on my
show.
list. I'm gonna read.
I am now almost to the final published book.
Yeah.
I have been burning through Dungeon Crawler Carl.
And
Like
last
it's
time we
my-
talked, you'd read like 3 of them. I think.
almost. I think
Are there 5?
there's 5, and I think 6 is coming soon.
Mm.
But I don't know what the plan is. This could go on forever.
Sure.
Given the nature of the story, I could see it going on forever.
And if it's making money, there's a good chance it will.
It's
go on
making
for a
my
long
money.
time. I'm sure.
I'm fine. No, it is.
I'm
I'm not
sure it is.
sorry at all because I'm glad to be supporting this
Mm-hmm.
author. I'm glad to be supporting Sound Booth Studios. If I go back and listen, check out Sound Booth Studios. These guys, the production is spot on, fucking perfect. But I would like to say that I could feel my actual sort of influence on our community, because I know of at least 3 people that started that book series after I raved on and on about it. So I haven't heard any feedback yet about how people feel. Maybe because they hated it and are like, I don't want to tell him I hated it.
I doubt that.
Probably not, because it's right up.
I've never
our
heard
listeners'
anything
alley.
bad about this series of books.
But again, if you haven't checked out Dungeon Crawler Carl, get it on your to-do list, because I found it to be. I was unable to stop listening. I'm doing the thing that you were talking about, Dave, where I actually make the mistake of laying down in the bed and trying to listen to it, and then I wake up 30 minutes later and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I got to go back to something I remember the next day and pick it back up, but I don't care.
I woke up to a major Dark Tower event that way.
Yes, exactly.
Where it's like, what happened? How did that happen? Shit.
There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of crazy shit that goes on in these books, and I do sometimes find myself going, what did he, what, I lose track.
Yeah,
There's a
sure.
whole lot, and it's this style of book called Lit RPG.
Yeah.
And I guess that stands for literary RPG. The guy writing it is a fucking fan of like the RPG video games and D&D and things like that. And most of what you talk about, Dave, when your Final Fantasy stories makes me think of Dungeon Crawler Carl, because it's honestly, to me, it's more like a video game, an RPG video game, than a Dungeons and Dragons,
Like a
tabletop.
Okay. It's on my list for sure. Like when I'm done with Wind Through the Keyhole, I'm on it.
I think you'll dig it. But again, I just wanted to say it was really cool of those people in Discord to let me know that, hey, I'm trying this book and see how you like it. So if you want to talk some more about it, bit.ly/TADPOG Discord. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to talk about it.
I can't wait to talk to you about it.
Can't wait till Dave reads and we have a chance to talk about it. And Tyler probably going to get into it as
I would
well.
imagine.
Maybe we'll do another Patreon series on Dungeon Crawler
TADPOG
Carl.
Book Club.
It's definitely up our alley. Probably less surprising that Dungeon Crawler Carl is our thing than Dark Tower.
I'll get super into it.
It's just more apropos to the theme of the show.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's a good.
I'll get super into it like a year after you guys are done with it, because that's how I roll.
I mean, that's how I pretty much roll too, except it's, not, it's not after work.
I always come in like way late, like, man, that is so good. Like, yeah, we know.
And I got to be like, okay, remind me what happened in that again. And he'll tell me, like, oh, yeah, that was cool.
There's like a Jim Gaffigan bit. I think it's Jim Gaffigan where he's like, where he like talks about just seeing Heat.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to talk about Heat?
Man, that's a great movie. Yep. It sure is.
Man, other than that, like, have you guys heard? I played a little bit of a game called Lethal Company. Have you heard of this game?
I've heard of it, but I've not played it.
Lethal Company is a game that
Is it better than Lethal Weapon for the Super Nintendo?
Yeah. There was hesitation until you added the
I haven't finished that episode, but I feel like that's probably a pretty low bar.
I don't want to spoil it for you.
Lethal Company.
Lethal Company. It's a game that was like big in like streaming communities maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm old. I need bifocals. My sense of time. Time is a face on water. I can't. I don't know when it.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah.
And by the way, Heat is really good.
Yeah.
It is like one of my favorite movies. Like, it's a great movie.
Heat for the SNES.
God, they need to make that game.
But Lethal
I'm
Company.
like really depressed after playing this game. I don't
Press Y to betray your partner.
Lethal Company was something I was like keyed into. I knew about it. I hadn't really played it. And then Choctaw sent me a text and was like, "Dude, Lethal Company, you should check it out. It's totally a Dave game." And I was like, "Okay." And I bought it based on that. It's a cheap game. I bought it and then did nothing with it because it's like a 4-player game. I guess you can play it by yourself, but it's kind of like you are essentially scrap salvagers that are put in a ship and sent out to salvage from different planets. Okay. And there are different planet types, but the planets themselves and the terrain and all that is, I wouldn't say randomly generated, but like the tile sets are randomized. And there's so many ways that you can die. Just so many ways. Like the first time I played with a tabletop group that I've been playing with for years now. And someone couldn't make it, so we decided to try Lethal Company. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard a lot of good stuff about this game. The first time I get in, like you go in this building and it's like you're looking for scrap, which is usually like a big like fucking axle or like something like busted engine or something like that.
Is this a first person?
You're in first person, okay. Yes. And in that regards, it's kind of like Phasmophobia because you're going in and you're looking for stuff. Except it's not. Some people, I guess, think it's scary. It's not. It is not a scary game. It's fun, but it's
just
like
dark.
It's dark and maybe it's
not
like
scary, but just dark.
Right. Well, there are like scary moments. I should think about what I'm saying.
Like jump scare type stuff.
There are like crazy shit that will happen, and it's like when it happens, it is like you're like my brain is just like, okay, cool. You're in panic mode now. Like you're not scared. You're just like. Because it's not like real atmospheric, scary like Phasmophobia is.
Like run for your life.
Like run for your life. Because we were like salvaging, we're like working our way through this dark building, and it's like you have to buy everything, and it's like I bought a flashlight, and it's like it was my cherished fucking possession. I spent my fucking hard-earned money. Everything became about this flashlight for me because it's like I don't want to die because if I die, I don't have a flashlight anymore. So, and the reason the flashlight was so important to me is because the very first fucking thing we did, first mission we did, it's so dark, I just walked into a pit. I just fell into a pit, and I'm dead, and I can hear them talking like, "Where'd Dave go? Where's Dave? Where's Dave?" And you know, I can hear them, but they can't hear me, and I'm like, I fucking fell in a pit, dude. I just fucking fell in a pit and died because I couldn't see. And so like I finally, like, as soon as I could afford this fucking flashlight, I bought it. I'm like, I'm not gonna fall down any more fucking pits. And the battery, it's got a shitty battery, so it's just like it's like
so it's a life sim, is what you're saying. It's just one disappointment after another.
You can charge it is. You can charge it, but you have to like go all the way back to your ship and like put it on the charging station. So it's like there was a situation where it's like there's this scrap on the other side of this fucking chasm, right? And there's this beam. There's like this. Okay, so it's like two catwalks, and that are parallel to one another. There are breaks in the railing on both catwalks, and there's a beam that like a steel beam, and that's kind of like sticking out, an I-beam that's like sticking out from under one of them.
That all things serve.
Yes, all things do serve. It's the cat beam.
Yeah.
And so you can jump from one catwalk to the beam and then balance on the beam to get on the other catwalk if you can see. I wasn't going to try it because it's like if you fucking don't make it, you're dead.
Yeah.
So one of my team members was like, shine the light on that beam. And it's like, okay, I shine the light on the beam. They jump, they make it across, and they're like, okay, now you go. And the fucking moment they say that, flashlight just goes dead. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't know how you're getting back, but like, I'm not going to fucking jump. So good luck, I guess. It's full of moments like that. There was this moment where we were going through and only one of us had played before. And like we're pushing deeper into this building, and it's like we bypass this. We find a landmine. We bypass this landmine. We find there's like a sensor with a like a automatic gun set up as like a booby trap. We find that we can't disable any of this shit. We just kind of like, okay, that's there.
Just gotta work
All right,
around it.
That's there. All right, yeah, exactly. You're working around it. And when we get to this big steel. It's like North Central positronic shit.
Yeah.
It really fucking is. And it's like we get this big fucking steel door, and it's like, oh, we came all this way. Now what? We can't. We had this key. It doesn't work on the door. Now what? And the person who had played before was like, well, I've encountered this before. I think in order to open it, one of us has to go back to the ship, and there's a console on the ship you literally type into. It's like a command prompt kind of thing. And she said, I can go back to the ship if you guys want, and I can type in the command prompt to open the door. And we're all like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do that. That sounds good. And she's like, okay. So this is all the chat is like in game. It's all voice proximity chat as well.
Oh, okay.
And that's real cool too, because you can when you got your cans on, you can tell when someone's to your right, you can tell when someone's to your left.
And you
'cause
can
it's
tell
right
if they're
channel,
far
left channel.
away or close.
Absolutely, yes.
That's very cool.
And so we're three of us standing. We don't have any weapons. As far as I know, there are no weapons in this game. I don't know. I got my flashlight though, and we're standing at this door. She walks off down, bypassing the mine, bypassing the gun, and then in the distance we hear, "Oh shit, run!" We're just like fucking Three Stooges, like just turning around, and it's like we hear this rumbling, and like the ground starts shaking. And that is when panic mode fucking kicks in. We fucking scatter like cockroaches and like just go in different directions. All of us, I hear a landmine go off in the distance. Clearly, one of my teammates is running to a landmine, and I'm like, "Oh fuck, that's not good." And then I hear, and I'm getting shot. I completely lose my way, and then all of a sudden, I'm just fucking dead. I'm just dead, and I'm like, "What the fuck was that?" And then so I'm dead. I can see what's going on. There's someone who hadn't died yet, and I see this fucking huge, like sandworm looking thing come down the entire hallway. It reminded me of that chapter in Dark Tower 7. Just come and just fucking just swallow this guy. And it's like, all right, okay, cool. So that happened. And then you can revive, but what happens is all the stuff that you collected, you don't
Right.
keep. And if you don't meet your quota, then the game is over. You're just kind of like you get fired. I don't want to spoil what that is, but that's a thing.
Okay.
It's a cool game. It's a
All
cool
right.
game. It was not what I was expecting because I thought it was going to be like super scary.
Yeah.
It's not super scary, but it
Sounds fun, though.
It is fun. It is fun, and I think it would be. I liked playing with somebody
I
who
feel like Lethal Company is not the company you keep, but the company you work for.
It kind of sounds that way.
Yeah, well, I don't want to spoil anything. Lethal Company is about the friends we make along the way. It was really cool playing with somebody who had played the game before, but I do think it would be a fun experience to just go in
Blind.
completely blind too, because then it would be even more of a shit show.
All right.
Check it out. It's
Okay.
like if you got it's on. I think it's only on Steam, but I think I got it for like $7 or something like that.
All right.
It's a pretty inexpensive game. I think it's one that's popular with the kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with like because I've
The
seen
Gorilla Tag crowd.
maybe a little bit older than
Okay,
the Gorilla Tag
gotcha.
crowd. Not the actual kids. Just the
People that are younger
the young
than us.
professionals,
The young adults.
Yes. Yeah.
I refer
Those entering the work field.
I found myself, we were watching 8 Mile the other day, and I referred to Eminem as that kid. God damn it. What am I doing? I'm not that much older than Eminem. That kid good. That boy good. That boy good. Coming to America. Check it out.
For
John?
the SNES.
Not a whole lot. I finally, again, I'm like always behind the times. I finally finished Fallout not that long ago.
I haven't finished it. You're ahead of me.
Man, it's fucking good. It's
a good show.
Like I was
Fallout is fucking
super,
great.
super impressed. I'm like so pumped for them to make a season 2, and of course that'll be like 2 years from now probably.
There's 2 more seasons confirmed.
Okay, fuck yeah.
So I don't know when they're coming, but
all
they're
about
coming.
it. I really, really enjoyed
Hell
that
yeah.
show.
Hell yeah.
Got it in.
Forgot my-
Check. I'm trying to think. So I've been watching Star Trek Discovery
And work
as
sucks.
well. Yeah, work sucks.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
But yeah,
I have not watched
he
Discovery
hasn't watched
yet.
that, so I can't. And like I wouldn't drop any spoilers anyway. But I've been enjoying it. I'm not a huge Discovery fan.
I was going to say,
I like
Discovery
it
has been on
okay.
your kind of meh list.
Yeah, I feel like it's
It's so non-traditional.
kind of one of the weaker Star Trek shows in my
I
opinion.
can see that. I agree.
But it's
in a
not
lot of
bad.
ways.
Like
No.
I don't mean to say that, but like I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So
Sure,
like
me too.
that's still a good show. Like a weak Star Trek show is still a good show to me. you
Right,
know? Like,
absolutely. I was a
so-
huge fan of Enterprise, and I was in the minority.
yeah,
there.
well, I mean, you had to convince me to watch
Yeah.
Enterprise. Like I never even
But
watched
it-
it.
but
and then when I watched it,
admittedly-
I was like, "Shit, this is really fucking good."
admittedly though, it could be counted among the weaker
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
Star Trek
I feel
series.
like
It doesn't mean
could.
it's bad. It just
It's
means it's
just
not as
different.
strong as the others.
It's just different.
and it's a lot different.
And Discovery is also different.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I might, but I feel like season 5 is the last season they've said,
Yeah, that's
and I feel like they've done a pretty good job of being like, well, if we're gonna go out, let's fucking go hard.
Nice.
And
Okay,
they've
good.
done a pretty good job with it. I've really liked it. That's pretty much all I've really watched lately. The only other thing I really have to mention is that my 13-year-old son.
Don't. Why? Did
I
you
know.
Say
I
that?
fucking know, right?
Holy fuck!
You think it makes you feel
Why?
old?
I don't
This
know.
motherfucker's taller than me.
Dude.
Like,
Dude, if I saw him right
I
now,
put on a
wouldn't know
pair
who
of
he was.
jeans that he outgrew the other day.
God,
They fit me, but
that's a win.
Yeah, it is
yeah,
a
no,
lot.
it was like free pants. Sweet.
Not quite free, but
not
at least
free. No, we
you didn't
paid
have
for
to
'em.
buy more pants for
Exactly.
yourself.
But no, like the other day he came to me and was like, and I got a little choked up. He was like, "Hey, will you buy me Half-Life 2?" And I was like,
Immediately.
I didn't even ask how much it was. I was just like, yeah,
Yes.
I will buy you Half-Life 2. And I went to his fucking computer and I bought him Half-Life 2. And about 2 hours later, I walk into his room and I'm like, "Hey, supper's ready." And he was like, he turns to me. This is a 20 fucking year old game.
Yeah?
I did not realize until I looked it up how fucking old that game is.
Yeah.
And I have very fond memories of it. And I walked into his room and like, "Hey, supper's
great
ready." And he turns and looks at me and just goes, "I love this game." And I was like, "It's a fucking great game."
Verbatim. Verbatim, literally.
Yeah, I think I probably said
Oh yeah.
It's great.
and he was like, "This game, it's so fun." He's like, "It's so fun." And like, I never really thought about the fact that, and plus, like, he's mentioning things to me now that I didn't fully appreciate at the time. Like, he was like, "I love how the tutorial is built into the story."
Yeah.
And I was like, I hadn't even thought about it. And he was like, "Yeah, that Combine guy knocks the soda can off the shelf and tells you to pick it up. And then makes you put it in the trash. And then, when you're an asshole about it, he beats the shit out of you." And I was like,
I didn't know that.
I was like, damn, I never really thought about that. But they're teaching you how to play the game within the story. And he did mention a couple of times, like, because I was like, "Hey, it's an old game. Like, don't necessarily hold it to the standard that you might be used to." But at the same time, like, this kid still plays Roblox and Minecraft and
sure.
stuff. So even this 20-year-old game on the PC that I built him with everything maxed the fuck out still looks pretty decent.
Right.
And man, he was just having such a fun time. And I didn't really help him with anything. But there were a couple of times where he was like, "I'm not really sure what to do here." And I was like, "Look, just keep looking, just keep exploring,
figure it out.
just keep trying different shit."
It's another
You'll
really
figure it
good
out.
thing about the design of that game is that You will figure it out.
You will
eventually.
figure it out. Yeah, you will, but it might be a struggle.
It might be a show. What
You
I
might
do,
die.
what I do want you to do, what I do want you to do, and like all seriousness, like walk up to him at random at one point, walk up to Charlie and be like, "Look, man, we don't go into Ravenholm," and then just walk away.
And that's another thing. That's another thing because he's already gotten past Ravenholm.
Oh, has he really?
Yeah.
Damn, he
I
is
know,
into
dude.
that
He
shit. That's
played
like,
that
that's like
shit
level
like
4.
and is still playing that shit like he's
I love
addicted
it.
to it.
Nice.
And it's funny because he mentioned he was like, I love how the game teaches you how to play it with like subtle things. Because I had told him I was like, hey, you're gonna. Because he had played Portal, and I was like, "Hey, you're gonna get a gravity."
Oh, I was gonna say he needs to play Portal. If he likes Half-Life, he needs to play Portal.
He played Portal. I don't know if he played Portal 2, but I know he played Portal 1.
I haven't played Portal 2 yet. I own it.
And I was like, "Hey, you're gonna eventually get a gravity gun," and he was like, "Oh, awesome!" And I was like, "Yeah,
This
it's
is
cool.
a gravity gun.
It's cool.
I know this.
I know this." I was like, "You're gonna have fun with that thing. Like, it's cool." And he was like, "Yeah, I like how it kind of shows." He's like, "The game showed me that the table saw blades are what to do with the gravity gun because I walked into a room and a zombie was literally up against the wall. The top half was missing and there was a table saw blade right above it." And I was like, "Yeah, I forgot about that, but that's really cool."
Man, that game holds up. I say that because I played that for the first time, I think 4 years ago.
Really?
I did not play that game.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't. I bought Half-Life 2 to play Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Never played Half-Life 2.
Hey, I was that way for a while.
And then it was, I guess, about 4 years ago where I was like, I don't know what drove me to do it, but I was like, I'm going to play Half-Life 2. I'm going to play it.
It's an iconic game, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that might have been part of the reason because I felt
that's
it's something I need to play.
That's the franchise that sent Valve through the fucking stratosphere.
like, that's why we have
We have
Steam.
Steam
Sure.
today because of Half-Life 2 and Counter-Strike.
And dude, the first time he fired it up, I was standing in the room with him, and that face
Where
came
you
up
wake
with the
up?
fucking literal valve in the eyeball,
Yeah.
and I was
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
"Oh, I remember this." The nostalgia was.
core memory
thick.
unlocked.
It's a great game. It really, I think it. I mean,
And he was
I think
like, "Man, that
holds up.
G-Man guy is really creepy." And I was like, "Yeah, he is really creepy." But yeah, so I've been like enjoying vicariously playing
that's awesome.
Half-Life
That's
2
really cool.
through him.
you can buy him
So-
Descent.
Oh, I don't know, man. That's pretty old. That's way older than Half-Life. I would love for him to play Descent, though.
Descent 2.
Descent 2 was a little better, yeah.
It's the
but-
only game that ever made me motion sick.
I can believe,
Dude,
that it
I could
would.
not play that fucking
Okay,
game. It
I-
made me sick.
I don't mean to like go on a tirade here,
Please.
but the reason the very first multiplayer game that I ever played was Descent 1. I had played a bunch of different PC games that had multiplayer capability, but I did not have a fucking internet connection until I started working at Apex. And
Hell
even then-
yeah.
Hell yeah. Rip.
Greatest job on earth. Greatest job I ever had.
Yeah. I know. Every time I drive by that building, every time.
Yeah, me too.
If someone's in the car,
Yeah.
like, that was Apex.
That's where I used to work.
Every time.
I still.
When I watched Fury-
it set the bar too high because I've been disappointed with every
Yeah, I
job
know.
I've had since then.
When I watched the movie Fury and they're all like, greatest job I ever had, I'm like, yeah, Apex was the greatest job.
yeah.
But so I had played a bunch of games that were PC games that had multiplayer capability, but I never actually played them multiplayer. I always played them single player. And back then, games, the main game was
Yeah.
single player, and the
Multiplayer was
multiplayer was
add-on.
secondary.
Yeah.
So Justin Brethurst, our friend who also used to work at Apex,
Fusi.
he came over to my house. He brought his computer.
Uh-huh.
So he brings his entire like Pentium 1 fucking PC
CRT
over to my house.
monitor,
Oh,
the whole
CRT
9
monitor,
yards, yeah.
everything. Yeah. We took my desk and pulled it out from the wall so there would be enough room for him to set his computer up on the backside of the desk. And we connected
A
them
LAN party.
we connected them together with a null modem cable.
Yes.
I've done that before.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
We fired up Descent. And that was the first time that I ever looked through my screen and saw another actual living human being controlling the avatar that I'm looking at.
It's a cool
and
moment.
he would pull his joystick to the left, and I would see his guy go, and I was just like, that fucking blew my mind.
That,
Yeah,
my friend,
yeah, dude.
was the birth of your dragon.
Yeah, it really was.
I
man.
know these things. Duke Nukem was mine.
And we fucking flew through these caves and blasted these fucking robots,
Yeah.
together, and it was just so fucking.
I had
fun.
area calling on my phone in Murray so that Dane and I could play Duke Nukem
play
against
Duke
one
Nukem.
another.
Nice.
So I could call him in Paducah and not get long distance charges. I mean, it was, and we built our own maps, and we would like, you could map sounds to different keys,
Yeah.
like sound
Yeah.
waves. And like Simpsons, always the Simpsons. He would kill me, and I'd hit my eyes. The goggles do nothing. God, we spent. I mean, that was my dragon. That was
Yeah.
my multiplayer moment
Experience.
of knowing.
Yeah, it was like the first time it happened.
Shit's
for you.
about to get really good, and
Yeah.
I'm really super grateful that I'm here to see it happen.
Yeah.
Because you forget how long it's been since that shit happens, but it's
Yeah.
no less amazing, especially now, considering that most games play that way, multiplayer.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do. You don't have to work for
Right,
it.
it's
You just
so
connect
easy.
to the internet and you're in.
It's like you don't understand
it
how
was tough.
difficult it was. Back
You
in the
had
day.
to have a little.
Like,
you had to
That's
have-
okay.
And that's
Oh,
good.
no,
I think
it
that's-
is
I think
okay.
that's
I
great.
want it to
But-
be
Oh, I
easier.
love
But it
that
is
that's
also
was.
nice to remember where it's like, because I remember the first time that happened for me, it was me, 3 people came to my house and they were like, here are our computers. And we want to play Diablo 1, and then we all daisy chained
modem cables?
and used
Nice.
Terminators and fucking got that all fucking.
It was awesome. No, I mean,
oh my god,
especially when it worked.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
when you got it to work and everybody's shit came on and we were like, are we in? Are we good?
Yeah.
And like, yep, I can
I see you.
Oh shit. We all said that
Dude.
at the same
Yeah.
time. We all just said, yep, I can see you.
This is like set up on my dining room table. I remember
Yeah.
my mom being like, "What are you doing?" It's like we're playing Diablo.
I fucking remember going to one of our coworkers' friends' bachelor. It wasn't a bachelor party. It was his birthday, and they had a LAN party for Counter-Strike set up in his garage with tables.
Oh, I
and
know, yeah.
we never really got around to playing much because we got stupid drunk at the strip
Yeah,
club and
yeah.
came back, and we're like, nobody wanted to play.
You just unlocked some shit for me. That was.
I remember the guest of
completely
honor.
Forgotten about that.
He was blasted, just blasted, laying on the garage floor. They have a really big, nice garage, but he was laying on the garage floor, and his wife came home, and she was kind of stepping over drunk people to get into the house, and he was laying in the floor, and he started picking ice out of the cooler and throwing it at her as she walked by. I thought, man, you were going to get your ass kicked. And she just was like, she just shook her head like,
He's like, I know this
I know
motherfucker.
this motherfucker, yeah. But yeah, that was the last like memory I have of a true LAN party.
Yeah.
parties.
And we had the
Yeah,
greatest LAN parties at Apex.
Yeah, they were the LAN we were on.
Yeah.
Quake 2,
Quake fucking
Ultima.
I miss
Fuck.
it. I miss
This was-
that.
Those were
Well,
the fucking golden years for me just because it was all so new and so
Sorry.
Oh, it was so
Welcome to
cool.
That was
Nostalgia
great.
Cast.
It was great.
Well, that's a big portion of our
Yeah,
show.
it is. It is play old games, and
This
these
is
are
part
old
of
games.
it.
So,
Yeah.
This is part of it.
but like I feel like some of that is missed, like the social aspect of
Yeah.
literally gathering together.
Yes.
Versus being and I think it's great that you can play with people in other parts of the world
And
or other
voice
parts of
chat
the
and-
country
yeah.
and voice chat and everything. But man, there really is something special about being in the same room with the person you're playing with.
Totally.
And I think you get that a little bit on console when you're playing like multiplayer games on console, but then you're sharing a screen. It's not the same thing.
it
The
isn't.
dynamic is very
It's
different when
Yeah, I think you're right.
it's you and your rig and everybody else in their rig, and you're all connected to the same network, and you're just and you can hear people. That was the great thing about Apex is the voice chat was us yelling across the room.
Yeah.
With the other guy, he's on the left.
Right. Which at that time was an insane advantage because voice chat didn't
It was
exist.
not a thing. It was just not a thing
Nope.
unless you wanted to get on the phone with somebody.
Yeah.
And then
And that
capture
usually
get off, put that goddamn customer on hold and capture the goddamn flag. I mean, that was
usually wasn't an option because you were playing on a modem,
Right.
which used the phone line.
phone lines.
But we
Exactly.
had the advantage of being at the ISP,
Had one,
so that was
I had one-way cable internet at my house, download only. The upload for the first 6 months that I had it, the upload was a modem.
Yeah.
and the download was
wow.
cable,
I did
and
not
then they
really
went
remember
full
when they were doing
duplex.
that. Full duplex.
Eventually.
I haven't thought about that phrase in a long time.
Oh man, it's good shit.
Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been up to. That's pretty much.
no, that's great,
Dude.
I'm so glad you brought up. I love that Charlie's playing Half-Life. I love that. That is my favorite story of the night.
I was super happy that he wasn't just like, "Oh, this game looks like shit," you know?
Right.
That's a true gamer right there. He
Well,
appreciates
yeah,
good content.
And see, that's one of the things I do like about like current games not being necessarily focused on graphics. You know, it's because like even this 20-year-old game, which 20 years ago, that shit was great. Like it looked fucking amazing.
I still think
you
it
know.
looked, I mean,
it still looks pretty good.
I feel like it's
you know?
it's serviceable.
But like,
I mean,
you know,
yeah.
he's playing shit that isn't necessarily graphics intensive anyway.
Yeah.
So he's just like, oh yeah, I mean, it looks
Or
pretty
well
good.
designed.
Yeah, coming
He was like,
from-
if I
For
run
coming
up,
from Roblox and Minecraft, Half-Life 2 probably looks amazing.
looks pretty
Yeah.
great. He said like, you know, if I run up to a wall, I can tell like the texturing's
Texture.
not good.
Right, sure.
But he was like, you know,
That
if
could
I'm
be
just
modded.
running through, like it
can.
looks great, you know.
It's like Fallout.
But yeah, so that was
Good shit.
really cool.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That was a great story. It's my favorite story of the night. I love that. I love because that got us talking
Yeah.
about nostalgic
Yeah.
shit. I haven't thought about in a minute. But with that, we do have a game and a movie we need to talk about in our second half.
Okay.
Speaking of nostalgia, when did that movie come out?
That was
1993?
Three or four.
Maybe it was
3 or 4.
Let me look.
13 or 14?
It was 3. It was 3
So, that was
because,
90
and we'll get into some of this, but we did watch and play Dragon: the Bruce Lee story for the show this week. So
Right.
coming up in our next segment, we'll talk about the movie and we'll talk about the game and we'll see how that went. So
You decide.
you decide, you the listener. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Interesting that we don't, in our world, and haven't since the days of the Greeks who did, combine philosophy and art with sport. But quite clearly, the Oriental attitude is that the three are facets of the same things.
Man, listen, you see, really, to me, okay, to me, ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. Now, it is very difficult to do. I mean, it is easy for me to put on a show and be cocky and be flooded with a cocky feeling and then feel like pretty cool and all that. Or I can make all kinds of phony things, you see what I mean? Blinded by it. Or I can show you some really fancy movement. But to express oneself honestly, not lying to oneself, and to express myself honestly, now that, my friend, is very hard to do, and you have to train. You have to keep your reflexes so that when you want it, it's there. When you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you are determined to move. Not taking 1 inch, not anything less than that. If I want to punch, I'm gonna do it, man, and I'm gonna do it, you see? So I mean, so that is the type of thing you have to train yourself into it, to become one with the, you think?
Yeah, this is very
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
All right, I'm gonna try to get this right.
We are on.
I'm recording.
40 minutes through the last segment, I was like, oh shit, I meant to ask what audio codec we were on.
We're USB. I checked and double checked and triple checked. We don't have backups today,
Right,
folks.
which is why I was, that's.
Oh, wait. And now for the game talk. Tyler,
Get your ass in the car.
Tyler, get your ass back in the studio. I can't do this as well as you. I'm not editing any of that out.
Please don't.
It's gonna be TADPOG in the raw, baby. Because I got to get this shit up by tomorrow night.
That's how we used to. That's how we used to roll
Yeah.
back in
It'd
the
be old
OG.
school.
Mm-hmm.
Today,
Turning around the night. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. Who
Yeah.
lives like that?
I do sometimes.
Just a couple 30-year-olds, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been that long for y'all, anyway. Okay, so this week we're doing Dragon: the Bruce Lee story.
Yes.
This was a 1993 biopic about the very short, relatively speaking, life of Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Kung Fu martial arts master. Everyone knows who Bruce Lee is. You've all heard of Bruce Lee at some point.
Founder of Jeet Kune Do.
Founder
right.
of Jeet Kune Do.
That's right.
His whole philosophy was based in he wanted to teach these things. Now, at an early age, Bruce's father believed that his family was cursed and that a demon was chasing them, particularly Bruce.
According to the movie, because I really don't know.
There's a lot about this movie that was made up.
Because I was curious about that. Because there's a lot in this movie that does seem like it's like
Hollywood.
It's like, is this factual?
It's a very ironic.
over-dramatized.
It's a very ironic movie, in my opinion, because it focuses a lot on the challenges that Bruce Lee encountered throughout his career. Because early on in his life, there was a lot of anti-Chinese sentiment especially in the United States. And I'm not going to say much has changed. It's gotten a little better in this country, but back then it was really bad. And it was very hard for someone like Bruce Lee to move up in the world because the world was getting in his way, and they didn't want the United States and Americans and didn't want to see him succeed because they felt like he was taking opportunities away from good, hardworking Americans, But he was an American. He was an American citizen.
Yeah, right.
He was born in San Francisco and then taken back to China, and
Which I wish they would have. Sorry to interrupt you, but I wish they would have gotten into that a little bit.
I do
because,
too.
like in the movie, they're like, this father pulls out the birth certificate. You're a U.S. citizen. I'm like, he is.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to explain this? I mean,
Right.
No?
They took him. They had him in the United States, which automatically made him a citizen. And they didn't tell him that until he was older. And his father says, "You need to get out of here. You need to move to America. You need to make your way and get away from this supposed curse that's on us."
Right.
And so he sort of, in a way, it was like grooming. He had Bruce believing in this demon as well, and he had him scared to death his whole life that this demon was chasing him. It was going to kill him. It was going to kill his kids. It was going to kill his family. But in spite of all of this, he was trained in martial arts and kung fu from a very, very young age, and showed a remarkable aptitude for it, and decided that he wanted to share his gift with the world. He wanted to teach anyone who was willing to learn his art and his way, because it was his way of life. And he moves to the United States, and there's a lot of stylization going on in this movie. And one of the ironies is, despite all of the things that he gets into show business and has several very lucrative opportunities taken away from him.
Yeah, I didn't know about
Kung Fu. Right. And that one I did know. So, and basically what happens is that he decides to start teaching martial arts as a way to put himself through college. Where he meets his future wife and Linda, and they start their family, much to the chagrin of her mother at first.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, he writes a book. So he gets hurt. He gets hurt, his back really bad, and he's in traction. And
I want to know the real.
Yeah.
I want to know the real story.
It's
about
not
that,
nearly
'cause
as-
I was watching when I was watching it. I was like, that shit didn't go down
So-
that way.
No,
I'm sure
yeah,
he was
no.
hurt, but like it didn't go.
He was really
it
hurt.
didn't go.
Is my
There's no way it
understanding.
went
He
down
was
the way
really
that
hurt,
it was
but not-
portrayed in the
yeah.
movie.
we
'Cause-
looked into this.
Okay, oh, you did. Okay.
And because, first of all, John hasn't seen this, but have you ever seen Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
Do you remember the
Oh,
scene in Dumb and Dumber where he's fantasizing about kicking everyone's ass with karate? And
Yes.
he pulls the guy's heart out
Yeah,
of
and he
his
does
chest.
the fish face,
Yes, and Lauren Holly is in that movie as well,
which really
which
made
came
it
out
hard to watch this movie.
which
for me.
came out literally the year after Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. She had to have been filming Dumb and Dumber during this time. And there's a scene where Bruce is working in a restaurant as a dishwasher.
Dishwasher.
A dishwasher, as she says, as his
Yeah.
boss lady says.
For some
And
reason,
April.
that scene
sticks.
is
Yeah,
like burned
April,
into my
that's right.
mind because she's like encouraging him to do the thing that he wants to do, and she says something along the lines of, "If it doesn't work out, I could always use another dishwasher."
Well,
it's like the
and
way
I-
she says it is so like condescending.
I want to
you know.
I want to jump back a little bit. Before he comes to America, he's like in high school or whatever it is, and there's a lantern festival going on, and this is during World War II, and there's some Americans or British soldiers stationed in China in Hong Kong. I think this is in Hong Kong, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it is World War II. I think
I
it's
thought
like
it was-
61.
I thought it was in
so it's probably-
Okinawa.
it might be.
No, I don't think it was Okinawa. I think it was
Okay.
Hong Kong.
I think it's Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think it's Hong Kong Lantern Festival 1960.
This is when
Okay.
Hong Kong was still
A British province.
province.
Right.
And so anyway, they're having the lantern festivals. There's some disruptive soldiers in there, that Navy guys, British Navy guys, that start, harassing the people and taking the girl and forcing her to dance with him. And he steps in and kicks their asses. That scene, I think, is what Dumb and Dumber is making fun of. I think that is, it is almost to the fucking letter the same scene. And I told Tanya as we were watching this, I was like, this is the scene from Dumb and Dumber. And she's like, oh my God, it actually is really similar. And I think maybe Dumb and Dumber might have thrown that in there as an homage to that movie that Lauren Holly is in that just came out last year.
Lauren Holly, it was really hard because I think maybe the only movie I had seen her in was Dumb and Dumber. I mean,
Me too.
so
This
watching
and Dumb and
this
Dumber.
was like, oh fuck, she's from Dumb and Dumber. I couldn't get it
Yeah.
out.
It was different for me because I've never seen Dumb and Dumber, but I did watch Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, like while I was taking Taekwondo, and my teacher, my sensei at the time, was like very into it.
Yeah, I
you
can
know?
believe that.
So
I mean, there's a lot of cool. I think
we had to
some really
like
cool martial arts
memorize
in it.
the Dao Jeet Do
Yeah.
like while we
Right.
were,
Well, and that's the book that Bruce Lee wrote. And what happened is in the movie, what happened is he opens a school and he's teaching Guaylo, white people, non-Chinese,
Non-Chinese.
not just white people, just not Chinese,
Right.
his martial art. And it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
By the people that are in the high council of karate, I guess. I don't know. It's really
the other
contrived.
Chinese people.
It's
are
really
not happy
contrived,
about
but he's called to task about it, and they call a meeting, and they tell him, you can't do this anymore, and he's like, I'm gonna do this, and they're like, oh well, then much like a Star Wars thing, well then we should do this with
Trial by combat.
trial by combat. Then we should see who is the most proficient with lightsabers. So he agrees to fight, and if he wins the fight, he gets to keep teaching. If he loses, he doesn't. So he gets into this fight, the Mortal Kombat style fight. with
Wasn't
this
that dude
fucking-
in Fight Club? Or I'm sorry, Fight Club. Jesus Christ! Wasn't that dude in Bloodsport?
I think so.
The guy that he
That he
fights.
fights. It's like a big version of Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. A young big version of Shang. And he fights this guy and he wins. He wins the fight. And he gets his ass kicked a little bit, but he makes the guy submit. And he won't finish him off, but he makes him submit. And he submits and he tells the council, now I'm teaching whoever I want. Well, as he's walking out, the guy that he had just beaten pulls a dick move and kicks him in the back. And that causes Bruce in the movie to go to the hospital. He has become paralyzed from the shoulders down, and they're treating him, and he fights through it. And while he's fighting through it, Linda, his wife, played by Lauren Holly, tells him, you need to write this book. So she helps him write the book, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's kind of concoction, his form of martial art.
Yeah, I saw that part, and I was like, Nikki and I watched it, and I looked at her, I was like, I don't think that's how that happened.
That is not how
Like,
that
it
happened.
didn't seem
And it's
believable.
the truth of the matter is, what really happened, they don't know for sure, but basically he just hurt his back from lifting too much weight. It was a normal, everyday injury that any of us could have, but it wasn't Hollywood enough. So they created this. And a lot of this movie is fabricated. A lot of the real facts about Bruce Lee are kind of left out. And that was directly at the request of his family because they don't want people to know. Bruce Lee was a wonderful person with the right idea, but at some point he ends up going to Hollywood, and he becomes Kato on the show The Green Hornet.
Which I love that scene in the movie.
Yeah, and but they're worried that he's too Chinese looking.
Right.
They're worried that, people aren't going to respond well because people are so xenophobic, or Hollywood is teaching people to be xenophobic when in reality they're not giving enough credit to the American public. I really truly believe that if Hollywood hadn't done the things that they did, we would be nowhere near as
because it wasn't
xenophobic
inclusive.
as we are.
I mean,
Right, it
that's why
wasn't.
inclusivity is
When-
an important
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
When was Green Hornet a thing?
It was like in the late 50s, early 60s. Or it was like early 60s, actually, around the around the old Batman.
1966. So the Green Hornet ran for one season in 1966. I mean, this would have been the same time. This was when Star Trek
Exactly.
debuted, which was in 1966.
There's a scene where Jason Scott Lee, who's playing Bruce Lee,
No relation.
right, is wearing. He's wearing this like. When I saw it, I was like, he looks like he's wearing like a crew, like he's on the Star Trek crew, because he is wearing this like olive green like long sleeve thing with the V and then like a black shirt like underneath.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that like intentional or was that like really like a style? Or but
It was.
It was a style.
The Green Hornet was very well received, but did get canceled after its first season. And meanwhile, Bruce is talking to his producer, his director, the guy that kind of found him in the first place, talking about making a show about a guy who wanders the earth.
it's a Western.
A Western, but it's
an
also
Eastern.
an Eastern
Right.
because the lead guy is going to be Bruce, and he's going to be Chinese.
No guns.
No guns, and he gets to spread his wisdom and his martial art across the West and to other people. And this was a go. It was greenlit. And then they didn't bother to tell Bruce that they decided to go with David Carradine instead of him to play the lead in one of the most well-remembered shows from that era, Kung Fu. And I didn't realize that Bruce Lee had been shit upon. I didn't realize that whole thing was Bruce Lee's idea.
Me neither.
And so that really sucked. And he kind of was having trouble finding work. And then I'm not trying to summarize the whole movie, but there was a lot. They touched on a lot of the low points of his life. There was a point at which he was being very aggressive towards his wife about they had moved to Hong Kong. He was doing movies again, only this time in Hong Kong.
Because he was
worshipped there.
Yeah, because he was Kato.
been approached by a director who said, here it's the Kato show. It's not the Green Hornet.
Right.
And you should make movies here. Let's make movies.
And it worked out really well. And he started cranking out very lots and lots of movies in Korea.
But he always still wanted
Korea,
to,
Hong
he
Kong.
wanted to be accepted by the Americans.
Yeah, he's an American.
And
yeah,
to that
totally.
end, the same guy that kind of fucked him out of Kung Fu comes to Hong Kong and says, hey, you're starting to get popular again, and we have funding now for one movie.
He's like, I shaved my mustache. We got a deal now?
Yeah, exactly. Full Hollywood budget, fully backed by Hollywood. This is 100% go. It's Warner Brothers. It's a big fucking deal. It's called Enter the Dragon, and everyone knows Enter the Dragon.
Yep.
It was Bruce Lee's major
It was
breakout
huge.
role. It made him a household name in this country. Shortly after that movie was released, he died mysteriously, and they don't say. They've been really tight-lipped. There's all manner of rumors about how the Chinese
it's-
mafia hunted him down and killed him because he was teaching. None of that shit is true. Most likely, it had to do with painkillers.
That's what I've always heard. Well, I've heard the other ones as well.
Right.
But the most likely is
And I've always said, it's Occam's razor, right? The simplest answer is usually the right one. And when we talk about someone whose Hollywood days went the way that they did at the time that they did, it's much easier to. And he was hurt. He hurt real bad. They said he was never going to walk again after this back injury, and he came back from that.
Yeah,
but
and
he was taking pain
is
medication.
Remarkable that he was
Yeah.
able to do.
Yeah.
that.
But they also glossed over the addiction part, and then there was
Oh,
a number
yeah,
of other things
absolutely.
that they
Yeah,
glossed
it's not in
over.
there at all.
One of the things that Bruce Lee was known for during this time was his attitude. He was the most cocky.
He's cocky in the movie.
He is, but in real life, he let that fame go to his head. This side of Bruce Lee is very, very well documented in a short scene in the Quentin Tarantino film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which the Lee estate vehemently
they were
was
not
opposed to.
happy
They were
about that at
really
all.
pissed because they worked so hard to keep that some of the truth. I don't want to say that Bruce Lee was a bad dude, but some of the truth was not something that they were willing to have out there. And
I genuinely. Sorry,
go ahead. No, what?
I genuinely don't think that Bruce Lee was a bad guy.
I don't
think
either.
that he was definitely a human being and
Right.
susceptible to
Absolutely.
the fame.
It's a mix of
and-
good and bad. We
Yeah,
all
exactly.
do good things. We all do bad things.
Everything. We all operate in the gray area.
But they had to
I think
be.
that he did.
When they made this movie, and I'm going to get into little bit of trivia about this
I
movie,
wanna hear
but when they made this movie, they had to be very careful what they did. Now, one of the sad this movie's surrounded with sad irony, just like Bruce Lee's life was. As most people know, Bruce had a few kids, and one of them, his oldest, Brandon, who took after him, learned his ways, was brought up learning, and the ironic part about all of this, and this movie was dedicated to Brandon Lee because Brandon died shortly
shooting The
before
Crow.
this movie released while shooting the 1993 movie The Crow, which I think we're going to have to watch and play a game for because I think there was a game for it. I have to look.
No kidding.
Don't quote me on that. But here's what's fucked up. They considered Brandon for the role of Bruce in Dragon, but they didn't go with him because he didn't look Chinese enough because his mother
He's half
is
American,
white.
or he's half white. Yeah.
If he had gotten that role, he wouldn't have done The Crow, and he would probably not have died.
That's
Just the way he died was he got shot on set of The Crow. The same thing that happened
Baldwin.
with Alec Baldwin. They didn't realize the gun was actually loaded, and there was a big gunfight scene in this movie, and there was a loaded gun in the mix.
So being a gun nerd, I've actually kind of looked into this because I remember that. Like I remember The Crow. I remember that happening. It was very, I was really into martial arts at the time.
Right,
It
sure.
fucking, it stuck with me. And what happened was the pistol that they were using was a .44 caliber revolver. I can't remember the make, probably a Smith & Wesson. But what happened is a squib round a squib round is a round that does not have enough powder. Usually what happens is there's a manufacturing defect. So the cartridge does not get filled with powder. Like when it's coming down the assembly line, whatever goes wrong, they don't fill the cartridge with powder, but there's still a primer. So the primer is what the firing pin hits. So in a revolver, the hammer typically hits the firing pin hits the primer ignites the powder within the case, and then the round flies through the barrel at super fucking sonic speeds, right? Exactly. So what happens is when the powder doesn't get put in, the primer is still there. The primer has just enough energy to dislodge the round. So what happens is the round then becomes stuck in the barrel.
Right.
So what happened is no one ever inspected the barrel of this pistol. There was a squib round stuck in the barrel. They loaded with blanks. Blanks don't have a projectile, but they do have powder, because in a movie you want to see that flash.
The flare, yeah.
You need to see that big flash to make it look realistic. The blank round dislodged the projectile and shot it out
As
the
if
barrel
it were a
as
bullet,
if it were
like
a
any
standard round. It probably didn't have quite the same
Sure,
velocity, but it was
fast, plenty
definitely
fast.
enough to kill you.
Right. And it did. And
Yeah,
so, of course,
sadly.
it was very...
It's tragic.
It was tragic.
It is. I mean,
It's
especially
truly
considering what
tragic.
happened to Bruce Lee. I mean, like his super young death.
Brandon made... The Crow was a fucking phenomenon. I mean, that movie was a big deal, and I think a lot of its, big deal was because Brandon got killed in the production, and they had to to use computer graphics to fill in a lot of the scenes that he couldn't
Most
do
of it
anymore.
was done.
Most of it was done. They just used some to fill a jumping scene or a back long way off or something. It was pretty well done considering, and it's tough because it's.
I think there was that and its style.
It was very dark.
It was a different kind of movie.
But I do feel like his death got people who wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards that style, like at least on their radar.
Because everyone knows who Bruce Lee was, and now we hear that Bruce Lee's son died mysteriously at the time. There was all this controversy around it and everything else, and it ended up...
Makes you wonder if there's a little credence to the whole...
To the curse. And it does. Now, that apparently stopped with Brandon because, after that, the Lee family kind of went underground. They were like, nope.
Yeah.
We're done with all this bullshit. We're done with all this fame. We're done with this shit, and we're not doing any more. And so, I just find it just tragic that Brandon could have done the movie about his father, and how great would it have been to be able to play your dad in a movie who represents this iconic...
Didn't
look Chinese enough.
Yeah.
And
that's some
the
fucked up
irony
shit,
is
man.
in all of the opportunities that Bruce missed out on is because he was too Chinese, and that it's just crazy.
The irony is there, but I do feel like to play the role the way that it was written, the actor had to look Chinese.
Absolutely.
This movie is straight up about racism.
It was. And this was not...
You're not
I'm
wrong.
not saying that it had anything to do with racism. I think it was just because the literal fact is Brandon didn't look Chinese.
Right. But my point is that it's like this, and I thought it's a good message, but I thought but the movie is about racism, and
it really is.
It's like... I like the movie. There are parts of the movie where I was like, I don't believe that. But I thought the racism stuff was super heavy-handed, and it might
really
be because
was.
it's a 1993 movie, and I'm watching it for the first time in 2024, and it's like, I understand. But it got to a point where it's like, I just want to watch the movie. It feels preachy at this point.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, movies of that time were pretty heavy-handed.
Sure.
They didn't
when it
give a
comes
lot
to
of
that.
credit to the audience.
That's thank
Yeah.
you. I was
Yeah.
just looking for a
Yeah.
little credit.
Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
like, come on,
I get
obviously,
it.
right? I get it. Yeah, I want to know the story.
I understand
You don't
and
have to
respect
convert
the
me.
message.
I'm on your side.
I'm on your side, exactly, exactly. And they had and so they stylized a lot of the stories about how he got where but we know Bruce Lee for his karate, right? Or not karate, his kung fu and his martial arts. And the movie wouldn't have been nearly as entertaining if it hadn't had these scenes in it. And I could understand.
Which are kind of hilarious.
They are funny,
They're
but they're
great.
supposed to. They're Jackie Chan funny.
Yeah, 'cause
they're
there's a
like
scene
just
where, like,
crazy.
Men like crash into each other, like because like Bruce dodges one and they crash into each other, and they literally play bowling pin
yeah.
soundtrack,
Yes.
like a sound clip. And I was like,
Oh,
did they just do that?
listen.
Real?
There's more to that even. Now let me go back just
Yes,
a little
please.
bit.
I'm
I
excited.
don't have a whole lot of trivia about
Okay.
this one because there's not a lot. If you ever watched this or you've watched it at all, have read anything about it, most of what you read is what there is. There wasn't a whole lot for me as far as like fun facts. But one of the things that did come to my attention here was that this movie was directed by Rob Cohen. And if you don't know who Rob Cohen is,
Really?
he directed the following movies. And I'm going to read the title of the movie, and then I'm going to give you the star rating that Wiz and Sage has given that movie. Okay. So then from that, dear listener, you can extrapolate how I felt about Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Movies directed by Rob Cohen. Triple X, starring Vin Diesel. 1 star. Wiz and Sage says, check it out. The Fast and the Furious, starring Vin Diesel. 2 stars. Wiz and Sage says, check
I
it
feel like
out.
that should be higher.
You're incorrect. Daylight, starring Sylvester Stallone. 2 stars.
I never
Wiz and
saw
Sage
that one.
says, check it out. Stealth, starring Jamie Foxx. 2 stars. Wiz and Sage says, check it out. Dragonheart, 2 stars.
Oh boy.
The Skulls, 1 star.
no.
Wiz and
I
Sage
hated
says,
that
check it out.
movie.
See where I'm going with this? Alex Cross, starring Tyler Perry.
I saw the skulls in the theater.
Me too.
And I was mad.
Me too.
And I was a childish
Girl,
You know?
same. Not the child part, but seeing it in the theater was one of the worst decisions I ever made. Alex Cross, starring Tyler Perry, 3 stars. That's a good movie.
Okay.
Wiz and Sage says, check it out. The pattern here is that I felt that Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, was about a 2.5 star movie for me. Because I know that most of it is bullshit, which I understand why they did it. The heavy-handedness that you mentioned, Dave, the fact that they glossed over so much of the stuff that's really relevant to understand Bruce Lee's life, even the bad parts. They wrap it up by saying, Bruce died mysteriously.
I know.
And then roll credits.
It was like,
Yeah.
I choose to focus on how he lived and not how he died. And it's like, we want to fucking know what happened.
well, not only that, finish a movie. How
Finish
about
it.
you finish a movie instead of being like, my home planet needs me. Bruce Lee died on the way back to his home planet. I mean, it was
He
like,
did, yeah.
What? You can't do that. And then, they roll credits.
They reduced the story of Bruce fucking Lee to Poochie. And it infuriated
It's bad
me.
storytelling.
It's bad storytelling, and it's glossing over storytelling, which was very common in the 90s. I get it.
Sure.
In the 80s, and before we kind of had a bit of an enlightenment where they were starting to give the audience a little more credit. But I'll tell you what, this movie was marketed as a love story. The fucking radio marketing was played on easy listening stations.
Really?
Almost exclusively. Because, and it's just, you, how can you not know your demographic? And
Yeah.
you literally, they filmed this whole movie with all the fight scenes and stuff. The movie had a budget of $14 million.
Okay.
After they ran the production, they went through it and they said, no, we need more. They spent an additional $1 million to go back and add sound effects to the fight scenes specifically. So you were getting the bowling pins.
They wasted $1 million.
The sort of pops and smash sounds of him hitting when he hits, and it's like a gunshot going off.
Right.
All that to stylize it like an old kung fu movie.
Right.
Like
it's
a
like,
Wu-Tang
look, I see
kung
what you're doing, but you picked the wrong fucking movie to do that.
Totally.
Because this was never billed as an action film.
Right.
And I can guarantee you that there were plenty of dudes like my wife's father who went to see Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, expecting something and getting something completely fucking different.
Yeah.
And I just think they whiffed it because of that. I didn't hate the movie.
No.
And I enjoyed watching it.
I liked it. And
But it just wasn't for me.
I like the subject matter. I didn't go in because I didn't see this when it came out, or
We
anywhere
did.
or anywhere near when it came
I
out.
saw it when it came out, and I watched it the second time yesterday.
So, like me going into it in 2024, being like, I mean, we all know how Bruce Lee died, right? Like I knew we don't know, so I wasn't expecting that from the movie. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right.
first of all, I could definitely see going into the theater in '93 being like, okay, finally,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're gonna get some light shed on this fucking mystery.
And then let me clarify too. Jason Scott Lee did a fucking fantastic job portraying Bruce
Absolutely.
Lee. His martial arts, his accent was spot fucking on.
Yeah.
I liked Lauren Holly in this movie. I thought
Holly
she
was
did a
really
great
good
job
in this movie.
I
yeah.
thought the cast as a whole
Yeah.
was fucking
Totally.
They
Yeah.
nailed it.
Absolutely.
They got the exact right people to be in this movie.
I agree.
And then they all got stuck with the shit script.
The script, yeah. And it was when we first started watching this movie, so the reason that I started questioning things very early on is because I made the mistake of reading the opening credits, and in the opening credits it says based on the book,
Right.
blah blah, like My Life with Bruce Lee or something like that by Linda Lee, and I was like, okay, this is going to be colored. Like this is like not this
Yes.
is
Yeah.
this I mean, I have to take what this movie is giving me and question it all because it was written by the spouse of the person who's
that it's about.
It's, you know, it's kind of it's not peer reviewed. It's not a peer reviewed movie.
Right. Tanya might have opinions about me, but she's not, when she makes the movie, writes the book about me, she's gonna not paint me as a fucking asshole. I don't think. Maybe she will. But generally speaking,
Right.
you don't expect to get an
Right.
unbiased
Right.
opinion
So
from,
that's like
a
from
woman
someone's spouse.
who devoted
Right.
her
Yeah.
life to this
Right.
man. Yeah.
And-
And who, by all accounts, loved him unquestioningly.
I don't doubt that.
I don't either. I think that was great. I love their story.
I do too.
I think that's not what I wanted to see as much of. I wanted to see it, but
Yeah.
maybe not that be the movie.
I do think that the action, like in the martial arts scenes in the movie, I thought they were really good.
They were well
really good.
choreographed.
Really
No,
good.
they were really
The
good.
choreography was amazing. The oh god, it
wasn't
was.
Unrealistic. You know, like
Right.
it was realistic choreography.
We
and
took
not-
two different fucking types of Play-Doh and
Yeah.
smashed them together.
Yeah, you did.
And you know what happens when you smash a bunch of different colors of Play-Doh together? You get this kind of
Gray.
lump of gray that
Brown.
doesn't appeal as much as the yellow did or the red did before I smashed it all together. And I think that's where this movie suffers. They could have made two separate movies.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want to watch the
Nope.
love story one.
Nope.
And if I wanted
I
to
wouldn't
watch
either.
a martial arts movie, I would just watch Enter the Dragon for the 10th
Or
time. You know
any
what I mean?
Jackie Chan movie, or any Jackie Chan
Yeah.
movie, or any, you know.
See,
but-
I don't know. I think part of it is due to the fact that I haven't watched this movie recently. Like, I haven't watched it in probably 15 years at least. And I definitely have some nostalgia glasses for it.
absolutely.
But I remember really, really liking
I
this
liked it.
movie.
Nothing-
Like,
I love it.
and
I
here's
liked
the
it.
Nothing
thing:
wrong with that.
I liked the whole the love story part.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the
I do
fact that
too.
it was like essentially a love story with tertiary martial arts stuff in it. You know,
it
like
felt just a little disconnected to me.
I can
Yeah.
definitely see that. But man, fucking 14-year-old me
Oh,
fucking
fuck, I can
loved
totally
this
see
movie.
it. And listen, I don't
and
mean
so
to-
like 44-year-old me is still kind of like, yeah, it was a good movie.
I'm not being apologetic, but I also don't mean to be hard on this movie. I didn't hate it. I just didn't. I had different expectations for it, and I didn't care for it the first time I saw it. Going back and watching it again,
Yeah,
it was a
sure.
little easier for me to pick apart. Knowing what I know about Bruce Lee's actual life and the shit that actually happened, to me, that's just far more interesting. And I wish they could have done that so that you could sort of see him as a bit of an anti-hero from time to time, but still manage to become the legend that he is.
It almost sounds like you would prefer like a documentary style.
I honestly would.
And I would.
There's,
I mean, I
there's
would
several
too. I
out
like
there.
this movie
yeah,
just fine, but I mean,
Yeah, I don't need to learn about Bruce Lee from this movie.
right.
This movie could have been about anybody. Honestly, you could have put
Changed the
anyone in
names.
here
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have been
It would have the same message,
right.
I mean,
it could have been the unauthorized biopic of Bruce Lee, but we're calling him something else. I don't know. It's a product of its time. It really is. And I don't mean that in the way that, when you watch some horse shit Revenge of the Nerds rapey racist thing, when you say, oh, well, that's just a product of its time. I'm saying it was a product
style.
of its time because the style, even the music that they use in this movie. Okay, so the music they use for this movie, you've heard it in many, many more places than just this movie.
Yeah.
Because when it was done, the music, the score for this movie was like reviewed as being sort of this milquetoast, generic with no feeling. And that proved to be true because they used that same music to like throughout the 90s as like trailer music for other epic love story type things. And it just, that in my mind, that sort of really truly puts the pin in it for me to
it becomes
say
trite at that point.
it
I mean,
is
yeah.
kind of trite.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did. I think they were trying to do him justice. And I think to a certain extent they did, but I think they kind of left out some of the more important things that would cause me to appreciate him more rather than repeatedly
Because it would make it more
focusing
real.
on the racist stuff.
Yeah.
Give us that now at the beginning. We
Right.
understand it,
Right.
and then get to some of the other stuff. We understand this is what made him the way he was, but how was he? Because this isn't how he was. He didn't get hurt this way. He got hurt that way. You know?
Maybe you can shed some light on another part of the movie where I was like, I'm not sure exactly how that went down, because there's a great fight scene in this movie. There's several great fight scenes, but like my favorite one is where it's a scene of Bruce Lee on the set of Big Boss, and he's fighting a man who is the brother of the guy Bruce Lee who broke Bruce's back and who Bruce Lee just beat in a tournament. So it's like, okay,
They're painting that like it really happened.
right.
I do not know.
And then he like destroys the footage, and I was like, I want to know what the real what's the real story.
I don't know the real story there.
Yeah,
and
I'm not
Tanya
sure
even
either.
said
It just felt dubious.
she thought it was a scene from the movie they were filming. And I'm like, no, this is him beating the brother's ass that hurt his
yeah,
back.
because he
and,
rolls in a van,
and I think that scene was supposed to be if he had really showed up here, this is what would have happened. Because I don't think that really happened.
because it doesn't seem like something that would really happen.
No, it was it's too perfect.
But like that, but
and
that fight
also,
scene,
I don't believe that
Dude.
Bruce Lee.
Fight scene's legit.
That was
Dude.
fucking
Dude,
amazing.
where he's fucking like it's in this ice
Yeah,
machine,
it's like
this
an ice
maker,
cutting
and
company.
He's fucking pushing the ice blocks down,
And he
at
just
Bruce,
fucking
and he's
shatters
fucking
that
punching
shit.
him.
Yeah.
And then they got that fucking saw blade that cuts the
Yeah.
ice, and they've got the fucking grinder or what the sander.
I'll tell you,
Yes.
like
Oh,
it's
man.
Puts that guy's head on it, on the
yeah.
back, and I'm like, oh! Listen, when he punched that ice block was the first time I actually kind of stood up out of my seat and went, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And I was like,
Here we go.
test your might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Look, that like I think it's easy to lose sight of like how incredibly gifted this dude was.
Sure.
So
Sure.
like
Yeah.
in real
Yeah,
life,
sure, yeah.
like
That's one of the failings here for me, is that you lose
yeah,
sight of
yeah,
how gifted
you're
he
not
was.
wrong. Like the dude was unbelievable. Like, have you seen the videos of him playing ping pong with nunchucks?
Yeah,
Like,
but I think those are edited.
Oh, are
I
they?
Think, yeah, I think.
okay.
I
wanted to
don't
believe. I'm
want
like
to
the X
believe.
Files. Yeah, I would have
bet
fucking
you, I bet you
believed.
$20. The footage of him with the nunchucks,
Yeah.
that is
But, like,
that is
he is
real. But I'm almost
amazingly
positive they
talented.
added the ping pong ball. But yeah, absolutely, of course he is. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt.
Like the dude's speed though, like on Enter the Dragon, they had to like slow the frame rate down or increase the frame rate. I can't remember because
you
he
could
was
see it.
so
See his-
fucking
Yeah.
fast, and that's
He was
just
a true.
wild to
He was
me,
the true greatest martial artist to ever live. He was truly a one in a trillion
Generation,
talent
for sure.
He was the absolute epitome. He is the reason that so many people got into kung fu at all and
Yeah.
martial
Yeah.
arts.
Yeah, that's
and
important.
That is a huge thing. And the fact that he was willing to step up and he wanted to share that with people, not out of hubris, but out of just
just because he thought
this is what it did
humanity
for me.
deserves to have this thing.
It's an
you know?
art form. It's something that anyone can
really
learn
is.
and anyone
Yeah.
can make themselves better
if you put the effort in.
if you put the work in. And that message, that's where the meaningful message of the movie stopped for me. That's what I took away from this movie, because despite all the fluff and the fanfare and the bullshit parts of this movie, at the end of the day, what I took away from it was he was a teacher and he wanted to teach and he wanted to make his mark on the world and make the world a better place. And I truly do believe that about him. And that's what I will always admire about Bruce Lee, despite his, I
Absolutely.
acknowledge his skill. I acknowledge his just unbelievable gift. The fact that his driving force, especially right at the beginning, was to share that with other people and not keep it to himself and not keep it a secret.
not
Right.
gatekeep it.
I wish more people had been that way, and I wish it had been more well received, and that it would have been more, even more important than it is.
Okay to show the fact that the fame had an effect on him.
Because he's a human
Because
being.
he's a
He's
human
human.
fucking being. Like, despite the fact that he has this gift, despite the fact that he is incredibly
Everybody
talented,
loses their way. Everybody
no
loses
one's
sight
perfect.
of what's important.
Like, yeah, exactly. So I think it would have been humanizing to show that.
No, I want to
You
see
know?
this movie again done over. I want this
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
to
it
be
would-
done over, and just to be honest, because I'm not going to stop.
No, because it's
respecting
still
him.
an amazing story, even if you strip the bullshit out of it.
Yes,
It's still a fucking
and it would
fantastic
play a lot
story
better
about
today.
a
than it-
really impressive human being.
Yeah, absolutely, and it would play a lot. That kind of thing would play a lot better today than it
agree.
would
Yeah,
have played back then.
absolutely.
I'd also, another criticism of the movie that I have is that I feel like the only characters in the movie who are developed are Bruce Lee and Linda. Like, they introduce Jerome,
And then
and it's
he's
like,
just kind of gone.
he's there,
He's in the background a
and
lot.
he says things, and he's in the background, but it's like, it would be nice to know more about this relationship. Obviously, he was important enough to include in the movie.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit more. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of the characters were like
and
that.
I mean,
that
again,
goes back to the script. I
It
feel like the
does. It
script
really
is pretty
does.
not great.
I think they were budgeted for this much time. I think they were restricted to follow the guidelines
yeah, there
of
were
this
lots
book.
of fucked up rules when it comes
The Lee
to
family ironically covets his story and keeps it to themselves because I believe it's a cultural thing. I do believe that they think that it's going to dishonor his memory to know some of the real stuff, and I can respect that. It's just unfortunate
You can respect it to a point, but at the same
Just
time,
don't
you're
do
like,
it. Just don't do it. If you're not
Yeah.
going to do it right, don't do it.
You could also take something that someone who has done that might not be honorable and make good out of that. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
Yes.
There's nothing
where it's like this
wrong.
happened.
Like human
Everybody
beings
makes
are flawed,
mistakes.
and it's not, it's not disrespecting someone necessarily to say that, oh well, they
This
had
is
this
this-
flaw,
right,
or
sure.
they,
So nothing but love. Nothing but love for the Lee family.
Yeah.
Nothing but love for Bruce, and nothing but
Oh,
just
yeah.
to
Dude
this
was
day, I still
incredible.
I
He was
still get a
incredible.
little verklempt over Brandon. I think that whole thing.
Oh,
was just-
absolutely.
It's fucking tragic.
It's
It really
awful.
is.
It's awful, and even especially
because
under
of
the
potential.
circumstances.
You see the potential
Yeah,
that
he could
that
have. He was gonna.
had.
He was gonna be a fucking
Oh,
mega
man.
star.
Yeah.
And he was a megastar from
Yeah.
this one movie, and it's a shame that we didn't get to see his
Yeah.
potential grow, much like his father's potential was
Yeah,
cut
that's
short
what's
at
yeah.
32.
fucking
Bruce
tragic
Lee
about
died
it.
at 32.
32. That is fucking crazy.
So, anyway, I could go on, but we do have a bit of a show left.
yeah, sorry. There's
no,
a
no,
game to talk
no.
about, right?
It's great.
game.
This great discussion. We did have a Super Nintendo game.
It's based on the movie Dragon: the Bruce Lee story.
What kind of? So I am completely out of the loop.
All
As
We were
as
too.
Tradition. I'm gonna play audience surrogate.
Tyler rolled this, and my reaction was,
There's a game.
yes,
Right.
exactly that.
Because that's like when you told me in the car today. That was like they made a game out of that.
Yes, they did.
What kind of game is it?
It's a fighting game,
It's a fighter,
like a
okay,
Mortal
like a straight
Kombat,
up
Street Fighter
fucking
type
fighter.
style.
That seems weird.
I wouldn't say
kind of.
straight up,
Okay.
but it is a fighting game. It's So one of the criticisms about the game that I have seen from reviews at the time was that it didn't do very much that was different. I disagree with that.
Different from what?
Than
though?
other fighting games of the time.
Okay.
So the game came out. It was originally developed and published by Virgin Interactive for the Sega Genesis. And then Acclaim decided to port it for the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
So
So it was originally a Genesis game
originally a Genesis game
that they
Yeah.
ported to the Super
Yeah.
Nintendo. Okay.
And so I feel like this game does a bunch of things that other fighting games don't do. It has a lot of shortcomings. But it's not a very deep fighting game. It's one of its shortcomings, but it does things that I haven't played every fighter in the world. I'm not a fighting
But
game.
you've played a lot of them.
I've played a few. I'm not
a few.
I'm not a fighting
you
game
can
expert.
Be humble if you want. You've played a lot of fucking fighting games.
But this game does some stuff that I haven't seen before that I thought was really, really cool. When you run out of continues in this game, which are 3 of the mirrors.
Right. The mirrors were laid down by his father as a way. He referred to them as like gargoyles on a castle.
Right.
They
to
keep
the
evil spirits away.
out. And as you know from the movie, the demon is mentioned and seen physically in the movie. So what happens in the game is when you run, each time you want to continue, you essentially spin one of these mirrors. You have 3 of them. When you use the last one, the demon shows up and you fight the demon.
oh, that's really
It's neat.
that's a
neat.
cool mechanic.
I
does.
know. I haven't seen that in another game where it's like you're out of continues. Here's
Fight for your life.
yeah,
And good
Yeah.
fucking
and good luck.
Oh well, yeah. It's got to be hard. I mean,
It
you
is.
burn all your lives.
It is.
so.
That fight is super hard, but also I feel like the game is hard.
Listen, I don't even. I can't even with this fucking game.
The game is hard. The game is hard.
Okay, I'm gonna get into it, but before I do,
Yeah.
before we continue on the
Yeah.
game, Brad from Arizona
Oh,
Good.
please, yes,
sent me an email.
Sure.
Brad.
We're gonna read that email right now. Brad begins. Mr. Chandler, Mr. Holland, and Mr. Moore. Mr. Holland is not with us tonight, except in spirit. We have to go to the September 1995 issue of Nintendo Power for this one because GamePro only reviewed the Genesis version.
Okay.
I put this big unhinged paragraph under my signature about what a weird time this was for Nintendo because this issue of Nintendo Power is kind of wild. So let me just state the obvious. Enter the Dragon. Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. The spirit of Bruce Lee returns with fists of steel in this unique fighting game from Acclaim. Virgin Interactive originally planned to release Dragon, but Acclaim picked up this fighting tournament game recently and will market it this fall. Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, uses 3 of the Black Belt Heroes movies as the backdrop of the game. Don't expect much more than a nod to the movies, though. The adventure aspect never comes into play in Dragon, which is disappointing. The one-player game holds few surprises. You must duel with a series of opponents using hits, kicks, and special martial arts moves. The biggest innovation in this part of the game is that you can use better moves if you build up enough experience points, which is really fucking hard to do. That option alone makes it an interesting play, but Dragon goes beyond that by including a traditional 2-player mode and hold on to your nunchucks, a 3-player option.
Yeah.
You can also play 2 against the computer. In all of these modes of play, the experience meter is a major part of the game. He who proves his worthiness early will prosper and kick some Buddha. Wow.
Weird.
Graphics.
You know what? The movie was right. It wasn't too heavy-handed.
Nope.
This review has proven to me that it was
fine.
just
It
as
was a
handed as it
review.
needed to be.
It was a review from 95. So, yeah, okay.
Let me finish this email.
Buddha? What the fuck?
Let me finish the email. Graphics 3.4, play control 3.2, challenge 3.1, theme and fun 3.1. Thanks, Brad from Arizona. Postscript. Nintendo in late 1995. The words of a lunatic. And then he says, "Do not read if you don't want to." Come on,
It's fucking
Brad.
Stephen King style.
Come on, Brad. You know I'm going to read this.
Yeah.
You know he's going to.
If you want the happy ending, end here.
I haven't read it yet. I'm reading this for the first time, so I don't know what he's going to say. But much like when you leave us a voicemail, send us shit at your own risk.
Yeah, all bets are off.
This Nintendo Power makes it really obvious that Killer Instinct was supposed to be the new Donkey Kong Country. And as impressive as it was in the arcades, somewhat
Yeah.
impressive, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was
all
impressive
right.
at the
Yeah, it was
time. I thought it looked really, really good in the arcade.
It was okay. The SNES version is rough.
Yes.
They're selling the Dead on Arrival Virtual Boy in this issue with several reviews.
boy.
There's Game Boy games still coming out, along with the multicolored Play It Loud models that are
Yeah.
pitched like they're new hardware, even though everything about them except the color is identical to 1989.
Yeah.
And on top of all of that,
a good
they're
system,
doing
though.
that thing they love to do where they try to sell new Game Boy games as new SNES titles because of Super Game Boy.
Yep.
I never bought into that. You rarely see Nintendo this unfocused. They gave Sega a run for their money in this era in terms of number of hardware generations supported at the same time. The Saturn had been out for several months and the PlayStation was right around the corner.
Yes, it was.
And you can feel the sweat coming off of Nintendo that had just gone through years of vaporware CD add-ons. Then the 64 got delayed over and over and didn't end up coming out until a year later. It was a tough time, and this period for them was crazy. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
Brad, your commentary is so goddamn relevant, it hurts my brain.
Brad, I really appreciate you sending
Holy
us that
shit,
email,
man.
as usual. It's very nice of you to take the time to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Gave us a little bit of a summary of the game. So, Dave,
Good job.
let's pick up where you left off. Tell me some more about this game.
So the review actually brings up something I wanted to talk about because I read a different review. I can't remember what magazine it was in, or it was quoted on Wikipedia. But the game is criticized for being a little too unimaginative. But I think that's the only thing this game has going for it, because I hooked up the multi-tap to test out 3-player mode. It works. Three people can fight each other at the same time in this game.
Which is weird. That's a weird
is
number.
weird.
Why
Yeah.
not 4? I mean, well, I guess it's the hardware
It
restrictions.
had to be a hardware restriction because the multi-tap can take, they can handle 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's a champ. They can take 4 if it wants to.
I always knew I liked the multi-tap.
It's great. It's a great device.
So I respect being able to take 4 at once, not even missing a beat. Anyway,
Never shuts down. It's
Nope.
great. Just love it. But yeah, I had to. I assume it was sprite limitation because, like, when you have 3. By the way,
then you have
yeah, herky jerky.
The slowdown. Yeah.
There is so this kind of like leads into something that I think is a shortcoming of the game because it's like, okay, so 3 people can play at the same time. Okay, that's neat. We don't all have to play as Bruce Lee, do we?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
You all have to play as Bruce Lee.
Do they palette swap it?
You have different colored pants.
Okay. All right. So there's
But-
some
There
demarcation.
is, yes, you know who you are. You know which Bruce Lee you are, but it's kind of one of those
yeah,
where it's
that's-
like you took the time to do this, but yet you cannot play as anyone else in the game. You are Bruce Lee.
It could be literally the guy cooking the fried rice from the restaurant, but no, we're not going to do that.
You're Bruce Lee. That's it.
It's
That's what
it.
you got. And it's like, on one hand, it's like, all right, this is a game about, a movie about Bruce Lee. I mean, I guess I can see why the decision was made, but on the other hand, it's like, dude, this should have just been like a beat 'em up or something. Because a fighting game has
Yeah.
a roster. That's like a big important thing about a fighting game
See,
is you get to choose all these different characters.
When he told me this was a game earlier today, I assumed it was a beat 'em up. When he said it was a fighting game, I was like, okay.
But
You know,
there are parts of the game that end up playing kind of like a beat 'em up because it does some shit that you
I was
don't
going to
normally
say, you were
see.
saying that it's a little different.
There's a scene in the movie that I think is excellent where he fights. Bruce Lee is threatened by a chef in a restaurant he's working.
Oh, yeah.
And like all the chefs on the line just start picking
Grab
up
the
butcher knives.
Yeah.
and chase him into the
Yeah.
alley. And this shit goes up into the rafters.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's a great
amazing.
fight
It's a
scene.
great scene. I
It's-
love it.
That's the most Jackie Chan scene in
It
that
is,
movie.
and that's the scene that has the bowling pin crash. I
yes,
believe,
yes.
Where I was like, I don't know.
It's
about
supposed to. That scene was supposed to be funny.
Yeah,
And-
that was definitely supposed to be comedic.
that.
feel
I
like.
understand that. I don't respect the decision that was made.
Doesn't belong in this movie.
Right. It's weird. It's like trying to do a whole bunch of different
It's a
things.
drama.
Because they're
yeah.
playing like some kind of
It's
music, aren't
something.
they? Like
it's something inappropriate.
Yeah,
it's
it's
supposed to be
something ridiculous.
funny. Oh, this
Yeah.
is the lighthearted part of the movie, I guess.
Meanwhile, they're trying to kill this man. Like, they're trying to kill Bruce Lee.
lighthearted while throwing fucking cleavers at the guy.
So there is the second fight in the game, which if you make it to that,
Which I couldn't.
which you might not, I could totally see if you couldn't.
Shit.
Yeah, he said the difficulty was
It's
out
David,
of
It's
control.
fucking crazy.
I-
The difficulty's crazy.
Set this on the easiest fucking mode and could not get past the first fight. I couldn't get past the one that's the Glass Joe. It should have been.
It's not.
It should have been the easiest fight.
Yeah.
I had to quit. I played it for 30 minutes.
It's
I
fucked up.
kept.
Holy
I
shit.
couldn't- and I am not a fighting game guy, but I have been in my life. I know some shit about fighting games, especially ones from 1993.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like,
I
that's-
should have been. The best I could do was I got that sailor boy down to like one little sliver of red health, and then he just whipped me with the chain, which he didn't even have in the fucking movie. Bruce Lee had the chain in that fight. I could not get past the first fight, and I stopped playing because I'm like, well, I've been bested. I can't do this. It was hard. It was so fucking hard.
It's difficult, and
It's arguably one of the hardest games I've ever played.
It's
for
in my
real.
opinion, it's bad difficult because it wasn't the kind of difficult where it's like, Oh, well, I lost, but that was fun. And I feel like the mechanics are deep enough that I just need to learn it better. I didn't get that vibe from it at all. I got the vibe of, okay, how many fights are in this game?
Oh, I know.
Because it's like, it feels like
This is
they
what
were
I've
just-
got to look forward
just-
to. I need to know what I'm in for. I
Yeah.
didn't have a clue. And that's why I quit, because I'm like, if the first fight is this hard,
Oh, you're doing
It's
a
stupid.
really good job of explaining to me why I've never heard of this game.
Yeah, I had a hard time with this game because I started out playing it and I was like, fuck, this like doesn't the controls all right. So like there's God damn
I
it.
know you
There's
don't
some
know where to
delay on
begin.
some shit.
I wish
Yeah.
y'all could see the face he just
Well,
made.
it's tough because I don't hate this game and like I
Right.
ended up what happened
I can
was
see the confliction.
about 40 minutes in, I was like, all right, this is a game I could see myself playing for a long time. But it took 40 minutes to get to that point. And there are things in it that are just like, it's just bad for fighting games. Like, for example, it felt like there's no hit stun. So it's like, if you just get hit. And it's like, if you get hit, they just come back at you again with the same speed. There's no decay on that. There's no diminishing
Okay.
returns. And it's just
Okay.
like, so it gets to a point where it's like, and it might have been what they were going for. They maybe they want it to be super fast, but there comes a point where it feels like a slap fight because it's like, I hit, you hit, and it's just like pop, 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 back and forth until
Right.
someone gets knocked over. And it's like that.
You want it to be fast but not arduous. Like,
Yeah, or not feel arbitrary or random, where it's like
Right.
it just depends
Right.
on who's going to get the good hit.
yeah.
There wasn't really like a built-in like combo system.
I was about to ask if there were combos.
That might have
in
made
the-
it different.
in the game.
It would my opinion would have. I mean, made it less fun to play if it were. I don't know, but it's one of those where it's like there are moves that chain into other moves. Like you can do a kick, and if you kick twice, you do like an automatic combo kind of thing if the first one hits.
Oh, okay.
Pull the trigger. Pull the right trigger.
Oh, John's gonna play the
Pull the right
game
trigger
live
to start
for
the
first
game,
time.
and then everything else is just what you might expect.
Now, I am not a fighting game person. I want
the
to
trigger-
dance with her. Well, this is weird. Oh, this is
scenes
that
from the
scene.
movie.
Yeah, okay.
All I'm doing here, Dave, you can keep
Okay.
talking. All I'm doing here is giving John the idea of how fucking
How
difficult
difficult it
this
is.
Oh,
is.
this-
Play the first fight and tell me just for a few minutes.
Apparently, there's a move that you can do against the first guy you fight with the chain,
Ooh. Oh, I got
where you
stunned.
can
What the fuck?
grab the chain and pull it.
Is that right?
I was never able to do it because it's
I
like it's-
definitely
it's-
didn't either.
It's when he wraps it around your neck. I don't know if that ever happened to you or
Holy
not.
Oh yeah, it happened to me several times, but I didn't know how to counter it, and then you're stunned.
Right.
But what's fucked up is when you're stunned, they don't really ever take advantage
You
of
just
it.
lay there
You just
for
lay there or
a
stand
long
there
time.
dazed, and they don't fucking counterattack.
So GameFAQs, according to GameFAQs, there's a move that you can do when they're down, but I was never able to do it. And it's
Yeah.
like it was something simple like down and B, and it's like okay. And then I was like, well, maybe it was wrong, and I need to try different combos.
Well, and I thought as I was playing this, I thought, okay, I'll try some moves like some Street Fighter moves.
Right.
Sometimes they would kick off and work, and I would start to kick the guy's ass, and I'm like, okay, I've got this. But then it would just turn on a dime, and he would start fucking me up. Flying kicks were next to impossible to perform. Like I
And-
couldn't land them. I
yeah.
could perform the kick,
because
but
you
it
gotta
would.
press up when you're jumping. You gotta press up and kick.
Yeah.
and it's like you take off when you're at the top of the
Yeah,
screen,
and you
it's like,
never
unless they're
can-
jumping.
Yeah, you can't find that sweet spot to be able to fly down and kick him in the head.
Right.
And then you're vulnerable, and he starts chain.
I don't know
whipping
what
you.
happened, but it went to a continue screen, and I
Oh.
hit all 4 buttons, and it wouldn't go through.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right. No worries.
That was cool though. Yeah, really fucking hard. I feel like I was like, I'm a fucking. I wish I could say I was good at fighting games. I'm really not. I'm a fucking button masher. I eventually start to figure out what combinations of button mashing works.
Pull the trigger again.
Okay.
The right trigger. And don't just, there you go.
I know this
shit.
wasn't possible on the hardware, but like I feel like a Bruce Lee game would be much better as like a 3D arena fighter, like the Naruto games or like Virtua Fighter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because like
I see what you're. Yeah.
because there's really no positioning in this game other than the positioning you'd see in like a
Right.
2D fighter. And I think that as martial arts oriented as Bruce Lee is, because considering he was a real person, I feel like something in a 3D environment would have been.
I agree. And I think this could have waited until better hardware came out and then not be framed around the
not
movie.
around the movie, because they don't really do that. They do, but then there's like, okay, so there are 10 fights in the game. I made it to the second fight, and they do something that I thought was neat. You're fighting the chef with the butcher knife. You get him to half health. He retreats, and then you're in the alley, and you're fighting him, and another chef with a knife
Which
shows
is kind
up.
of like the beat 'em up aspect
Right.
that you were
You're
talking
fighting
about.
two now at
Okay.
the same time.
What the fuck,
I wasn't able to get
This is
to.
exactly what I was hoping for.
dude?
I was hoping he would be like,
Oh, this is easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
super gifted at
Had
Dragon.
enough.
I got him down to about a quarter health,
Yep.
and he hooked the chain around my neck.
Back in X apparently allows you to
Holy
pull it.
shit, dude!
Now, maybe I would have benefited from reading the instruction manual. I don't know. And I'm notorious for not doing the instruction manual, reading it because I'm lazy.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
you can
sometime-
press
with
the
a-
buttons and see what moves.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that needs to be present in just about any fighting game is the ability to pick up and play and at least get somewhere with it, even if you don't know anything about it, because most fighting games have similar mechanics. It's just like playing a shooter or playing
Right.
anything else. It's sort of this understood universal sort of construct that we have where I should be able to pick up and play any fighting game and at least get the basic mechanics to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this did not happen. I've never been so humiliated by a fighting game, playing against the computer, no less, on easy in my life.
Was that on easy?
That was on normal.
That was on
but
normal.
the thing is, the difference between there's like a very easy, normal, hard, and then like arcade ace.
Jesus Christ!
And I played it on was getting my ass kicked at normal. I moved it down to the absolute, to the baby level, thinking I just want to see the game.
Yeah,
Still unable to function.
I feel like if I took some time, I would probably be able to get past that first fight,
Totally.
and then I would fucking quit.
Well, what
Like I would
happens-
get to the second fight and do my best and get the guy to half health.
Yeah.
And then I would fucking be like, no, fuck this, man. This is not worth
Yeah.
my time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I was able to get past the first guy. Took me a long time.
Yeah.
Got past the first guy, got to the second fight, was able to. I mean, I kicked that chef's ass, and then it changes, and now it's like, oh, I have to fight two of them, and your health is what it was from from
It
where
carries
you left off.
over?
It carries over.
Oh, fuck that.
So yeah,
That's
and
stupid.
and it's like, so the AI is like tweaked up,
Yeah.
and so this all of a sudden became a game of, okay, all they want to do is flank me. That's what they've been programmed to do. Flank. If they're not flanking, flank. Move around.
get
So it
around
just
them.
became
Yeah.
a game of me not.
it's just
getting
avoidance.
flanked. Right.
It's just avoidance. at
and that
point.
became, and trying to get
That's
pot
not
shots
fun.
in.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And it's a shame because I think this game had potential. I think it could have been an interesting and surprising, compliment to the movie. Again, the
Yeah,
fact that they
yeah.
made this game around such a strange subject matter, which this movie did not warrant video game creation, but they wanted to make a Bruce Lee game
right.
while the getting was good.
Right.
And
It didn't. You're right, but I think there are enough scenes in the movie that are fight related that you probably could make a decent game out of it.
Now, Dave,
you know,
did you have to do a 3-round deal with these fights, or is it just win and move on? Do you have to beat the guy twice?
No, you
Okay.
just have to beat him once.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you beat him
at
once
least
and
there's
move
that.
on. Yeah. Now, it's funny that you bring up that there's enough in the movie because the first fight is, I want to go through the fights.
yeah.
Because I was able to get to the second fight almost like painfully, almost got to the third fight, but failed. So I was like, okay, I put my time in. I got a feel for the game. I want to see who else is in this game. So we got Navy guy, whose first fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Kitchen chef and times
And
two.
there's two of
in
them.
the second
yeah.
fight.
That's fucking ridiculous.
And then all of a
by the
sudden,
way.
it's Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon, and he's the black guy
Yeah.
in Enter the Dragon. And
Okay.
that's fine.
not in this
but
movie,
it's not in the
though.
movie. And what they do is they take the scene of Bruce Lee in college working out at the gym, where that big white guy comes
Yeah.
up and he's like,
And-
"Hey,
yeah.
time's up. Look at the clock. I work. You know."
Yeah.
But instead of it being that big white guy, it's Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon, and he looks horrible because it's like you can tell like they've taken screen grabs from the movie and digitized them for these scenes. But Jim Kelly's not in the movie, so they've got
Right.
this like horribly out of place looking man talking to Bruce Lee, and then you fight Jim Kelly. After that, it goes back to the movie Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
Yeah.
And you fight Johnny's son, who is the man that kicks Bruce Lee
Breaks
in the
his
back.
back in the movie.
Or in the movie. After that, you fight some lady. I don't know who this lady is, but she's got a red bow staff.
Is it April?
It's not April. April's in the game in a cutscene.
Really?
Yeah. She's in the right before
wash
you
up?
fight the shell.
I love it. They made all this content for people not to fucking see.
So you fight some lady, and like the chefs, there's two of them. After that, you fight, and I assume that's from a Bruce Lee movie I haven't seen.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Because that review mentions 3 movies.
Right. Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
she's probably from a movie I haven't seen. Someone out there is like, you idiot. It's so-and-so
Right,
from
right.
this movie. But she ain't in fucking Dragon.
Right.
I'll tell you that much.
the movie in which this game is based.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So after that, you fight...
Let's not forget, this is not the Bruce Lee anthology
Right,
game.
right.
This is Bruce
but
Lee.
that would be interesting.
It would. It'd be better than this,
I
probably.
agree. So after you fight
You
that
get
lady...
progressively faster the more you move through the game. I mean, that we've just solved the problem. Go ahead.
After that fight, you fight Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon again.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
After that, you fight Johnny's son again. That one does make sense because
Right,
he does
'cause
fight
he
him
does
twice.
fight him twice in the movie.
Yes.
So
I
it's
beat
like-
him once.
right.
I beat him again.
That one makes sense. Yes.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty good for having not seen it for 15
He
years.
said he loved the movie.
I did. I
Stuck
did love
with
the
him.
movie.
Next fight
I was
is...
taking Taekwondo at the time.
I get it.
this
Trust me.
shit.
I get it. I love my time with Taekwondo. You fight Luke, who is Johnny's son's brother. And that
Okay.
stage is
Yeah.
on the,
The
set
ice-
of
the ice
That
makes
Boss.
sense.
Yeah.
After
For
that,
the 9% of people who got to that point.
right. After that, you fight Han, who's Clawhan from Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
Again, not this movie.
Not this movie. That's a great idea for like someone to fight in a Bruce Lee game, an anthology game.
Yeah.
But, right. And then after that, you fight the demon.
Okay. Now, is the demon that you fight at the end of the game the same difficulty as the demon you fight to continue?
That I don't know because I didn't fight the demon at the end of the game. I fought the demon in the beginning of the game when you run out of continues.
I tried to kick him once.
He's
and
got
he
this
just-
fucking pole on that's just like
he just
buy the vendor garden some
Damn.
beer. I mean, he fucking warps in. It's like because when you
get
fight
your
him, you're
coins
like,
ready for the boatman because you're gonna die.
when
You're
you
gonna
fight him, you're all
fucking die.
injured from the fight you just lost. So
Oh, so you don't
Yeah, you
reset
have, like-
health?
I
Nah.
mean, you give you
Get
like, a.
Oh, they
slice
give you
of
a
health.
pixel. Yeah.
What I'm
Okay.
curious about is
Who's about to take your ass to
Can-
core?
Yeah.
can you beat the demon when you run out of continues? Like, I didn't
Is
look
it
up a speed run,
possible?
but is the speed run strat throw hard the first 3 fights against the Navy guy?
Yeah.
Demon comes in and then you just fucking beat his ass. Like, is that possible to do?
Which would be cool.
That would be great.
if you could
that
do
would
that.
be great.
That would be a neat
That would be
feature.
very neat. So the only way to beat the demon, from what I've read, is this is where that gauge comes in. They were talking about how
Experience.
Yeah,
Yes.
as you punch and get better, there's a blue gauge that builds up under your life bar.
Yes, and I feel like they call it an experience gauge, but that is like just, I guess, a telling of the time, because it's like gauges in fighting games are like, that's a thing. And that is like, at the time, maybe it wasn't as big a thing, but like, that's totally a thing. And it's not, to say that it's an experience bar implies that it carries over from fight to fight. It doesn't. It's like one of those things where it's like, you die, your fucking gauge is dumped.
Is it really just a how long can you hang in there?
It's how many hits you can get in.
Okay.
Which
okay.
there is a kind of a problem with that, because that means that you're
Does-
only rewarded when you're doing well. And it's like you can't use it as like a fallback. And as difficult as this game is,
Yeah.
your gauge
You
should fill
need it.
when you block successfully. It doesn't. It only fills when you land a hit. So it doesn't award playing defensive at all. Like the defensive is, there's no sense in playing defensive in this game, because it's like,
Hey, thank you for that, because that gave me a little bit of a feel for the actual game.
What? Oh,
Oh,
playing the
for-
game on my phone.
Even just for a few minutes,
Delta emulator,
a few seconds
everyone.
there. Like, because now I feel like I know a lot more about what you're saying here.
You've experienced.
And to be clear, I did use Delta emulator for this, but I own this game and have a legal
course.
backup that's stored on my phone.
Hey,
that John played.
like
just now.
Naturally,
there
as
was
we all
no
knew.
there was no input lag. There was nothing. Like it felt.
It was fucking great, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it felt like I was fucking playing it on the actual system.
Did you mention retro achievements? Do they have that tied in to Delta?
I didn't see it in the settings.
Okay,
I don't
I'm
think
curious,
so.
because that would be really cool. Because retro achievements, it's a
You
cool
it,
concept.
You can get it in RetroArch as well, which is, if you sign into Retro Achievements, it checks in and it's got like community built achievements for games that didn't used to have achievements.
Right.
And,
It's not a
but it's-
flawless
I don't.
system.
Now, it may be
It's-
coming in a future episode,
I
or
hate
a future version of
Yeah,
Delta.
would
But
be
for now, it's just pretty bare bones.
That would be very cool.
We're gonna go right back to the Dragon Talk,
Yeah,
but real
naturally.
quick, Charlie kept hitting me with all these. I got this achievement in Half-Life 2, and I was like, they didn't fucking have those when I fucking played Half-Life 2. That wasn't a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, back to the Dragon.
Yeah. Hey, no worries. I wanted to talk about this bar, this gauge that you fill. As you fight, you build chi, and you get to a point where you can change fighting styles. There are 2 lines in the bar. So when you reach the first line, you can press the R button, and now all of a sudden you're in like Bruce Lee's exaggerated fighting mode, where like his punches, everything's really fast. It's like you turn on turbo, essentially.
Like Jeet Kune Do mode.
Yes, but it is a different move set. It's just
So it actually changes.
it does actually change it. It's much more basic, but it does change the move set. Then if you reach the third one, you can use nunchucks, and that is the only way to defeat the demon. is you have to kill the demon like he does in the movie. Spoilers. With the nunchucks.
yeah.
You have to wrap it around his neck and choke him out with it.
And again, I gotta say,
how hard is that?
It's neat. It's neat. I've got to use the nunchucks in 3-player mode because I tried that out. I never got to it in first player, like one player story mode.
Say, holy shit!
No, I just
got to that point.
Yeah, I just plugged in the multi-tap, filled it up, and it just says one player just beat on the other two.
Full multi-tap. Is
right.
Just
full
really
multi-tap. They got the full experience.
nothing like a good, fully filled multi-tap.
Yeah. I agree. Unfortunately, we can't do it in Dragon. We have to settle for 3.
Right.
Like a pretzel.
Which is weird. That's okay, too. I mean, three's good. It's not as good as 4, but three's pretty good.
Yeah. 2's great.
2's fine.
1 also
I'm
perfectly
good with 1.
great.
Absolutely.
One's great.
Yeah, one's great. Two's 2.
I love 2.
Just have no complaints at all. Just from the versatility of the multi-tap.
Yeah. No, the multi-tap's a great thing.
Yeah, but that's the
It
only way.
allows more than one input
At the same time.
at the same time.
Can't put 2 in 1 though.
You can.
Well,
It's
well,
harder.
not on the multi-tap.
Not on the multi-tap. Forgot what we were talking about. Forgot the joke.
It's
the
easy
one
to do.
limitation of the multi-tap.
Yeah.
Is you can't put 2 in 1.
Can't put 2 in 1. I guess maybe you could split it. I don't know.
There's a way. I'm sure there's a way. You can figure it out.
Yo, dog. We heard you like inputs.
But that was the only way I got to try the nunchucks. That is its own system too, where it's like if by the combination of face button presses, he does different things. So you can do XA, and you can keep it rotating, which I think is neat because it's like nunchucks, where it's kind of he's doing his thing. It's
That's
fluid.
so disappointing though, because they
you'll
put
never
all
see
of
it.
these. Yeah, exactly. They put all of these cool mechanics into the game.
Yeah.
That fucking 5% of the people that played it might get to fucking actually use it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
I don't
disappointing.
know, that is disappointing because you know it's there.
Yeah, they took the time to develop it.
Yeah.
and like think that through.
And program it in.
Yeah.
And then make it so goddamn difficult that, like I said, 95% of people are not ever gonna.
Oh, I wouldn't have seen it had I not switched to multiplayer mode. Yeah,
Right.
It is neat that you can go through 2-player mode in the story. What's not neat, I didn't experience this because I couldn't get anyone to play it with me. but I from what I've read online, when you get to the end of the fight with 2 players, like for example, 2 people, two Bruce Lees fighting Navy guy, they defeat Navy guy. Well, now one of the Bruce Lees has to beat the other Bruce Lee before you can move on.
God damn it.
Wow.
Which is that's kind of fun, but at the same time, it's like, well, not if you're trying to go through the story.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna.
have to use a mirror.
Yeah. They didn't really think it out, did they?
No. They had some good ideas, I feel like, but yeah,
Yeah,
they
no, I
didn't
feel
think
like
it
there's some
out.
really interesting, somewhat unique mechanics in it, but just not well executed. Was that what is that subreddit? It's,
Great idea.
great
poor
idea,
execution.
great idea, terrible execution, or something like that.
Something like that. But that's it. I mean, as far as the game goes, it's kind of like all that I have to talk about. Ian, I don't know if you had anything else other than like achievements.
We could do some achievements.
Do you have any?
I have a
right.
few.
All right. What you got?
I've even got beards and glasses.
All right. Well, then I will ask you.
This guy came prepared.
We'll do achievements first.
Yeah.
My first achievement is Sailor Moon. And to get Sailor Moon, be unable to beat the first fight on any difficulty, get frustrated, and toss whatever device you're using to play the game out the back door under the light of the half moon in the sky.
Okay.
I like it.
My second achievement is Toos Lee. Toos Lee.
Uh-huh.
To get Toos Lee, you play the game with a second player.
Okay.
My third
love
achievement is Bruce 3.
All right, I'll go ahead and remove that from my achievements.
Did you get that? Did you do that one too?
Yeah, Bruce 3 is my first achievement.
That's just play a 3-player game.
Play a 3-player game.
Toosly I didn't get. That's good.
What was Truthfully or
No, I didn't
Bruce-
have that.
Oh, okay.
No,
All right.
Bruce 3 was played in 3-player.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah. What other achievements have you got?
I've also got, what would I do with $1 million? 2 chicks at the same time. In order to unlock, what would I do with $1 million? 2 chicks at the same time. Is reach the 5th fight in story mode where you fight those 2 ladies who's, I don't know. Next achievement
Good one.
is
Jesus.
Guaylo, can you go? In order to unlock Guaylo, can you go? You can't be Chinese. That's the only thing. You can't be Chinese.
We all got that one.
So we got that one.
John, you played the game. You got
you- I
Guaylo,
got
can
that
you go?
one. I got it. Yeah. I didn't
Because
think I would unlock any.
There you go.
I didn't even make it past the first fight.
next achievement, Jeet Kune don't. In order to unlock Jeet Kune don't, give up during the first fight. Never pass the first fight.
got it.
Got that too.
Jeet Kune don't.
Yeah, hell yeah. Jeet Kune don't. Damn, those are good. It's way
Bravo,
better than
sir.
mine.
No,
Bravo.
man, Bruce 3, man. Bruce
I love
that's
that.
great.
I love that we both got Bruce 3.
Yeah.
I think that's. I love when we hit the same achievements together.
John,
Oh no, I
Got
have
any?
none. I'm
right.
just I'm just
He's
here.
just enjoying.
Okay.
them. He's
I am
enjoying the ones we
I am
created.
enjoying
what do
this
you
whole
think
experience.
Flopsy has to say about Dragon?
Hey, sorry, real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
What do you think the audience score on this is?
on IMDb?
On IMDb.
How have we not thought to do this before?
You've done it before. We just
So
haven't
there's
done
the
it
tomato
as a quiz.
as like yeah.
There's the tomato meter,
Yeah.
which incorporates
Thermometer. Come on, please.
Thermometer. Yes, thank you. Like the barometer, but the thermometer,
Thermometer.
which would of course incorporate critic scores.
Right.
And then there's the audience score. I'm asking specifically,
The audience.
what do you think the audience
On a
score
tomato
is?
scale, like a
Is it was
percentage.
popcorn, but yeah,
It's a percentage, right?
It's a percentage,
out of
yes.
100.
out of 100.
68%.
Man, I was gonna go in the 60s. I'll go a little bit lower, 61%.
The audience score for Dragon: the Bruce Lee story is 79%.
That's
a good
fresh.
score. That's
Which-
fresh. That's certified fresh.
Is impressive. Yeah,
That is impressive.
I love this movie, and was still kind of like, wow.
Well, I wouldn't have
That's-
thought that it would have such a broad appeal. So that's
the
that's good.
tomato meter, which incorporates
critic and
thermometer. Yeah, sorry. The thermometer. It actually says thermometer. The thermometer score is 74%.
That's high.
Which, yeah,
That's higher than I thought it
I'm-
would be.
Yeah,
Higher, for
I
sure.
honestly, and
especially with critics rolled in. They
yeah, I
usually
got some
rip that shit.
thick nostalgia glasses for this movie, and I was still like, wow, that's high.
I enjoyed watching it,
Yeah.
so I'm not surprised. That I mean, I've suffered through movies for this show before.
Sure.
This was not one. This was not one of those.
Well, I'd give it a 2.5 stars. Wisdom Sage says check it out. I think you
Okay.
should watch the movie just to say you've seen it, and I don't think it'll be a bad time for you.
Way better than Bram
Now,
Stoker's Dracula.
Out of
Oh,
5,
God.
are,
Yeah,
are
it
we
was
talking about?
actually-
Are we? And I know I've asked this before. I've had a lot to drink since we started this show. Is that out of
Like-
5 stars or 4 stars?
It's out of 4, but I will occasionally raise the bar to 5 if it's something particularly good.
And you said 2.5.
2.5.
Okay, I would give it 3 personally. So I would be kind of
You'd be
right in
on
line
point
with the tomato meter.
Thermometer.
Thermometer. Yes, the thermometer. Okay. So, yeah, I feel like that tracks.
How many stars do you think Flopsy gave it?
And also, I have to add.
Oh, well, that's based. So the thermometer is based on the movie.
right.
Yes.
The
Flopsy-
Flopsy is based on the
How
game.
many
on the game.
stars you think Flopsy gave it?
So I'm conflicted.
And tell us also how common you think it is.
Yes.
I will try. I think it's uncommon. I think it's I think it's very uncommon.
Okay.
Just because when you said they made a game out of this movie, I was like, really? What
Right.
the fuck?
Yeah.
I never would have imagined
Me neither.
that they made a
And I
fucking
have
game out of this movie.
podcast about Super Nintendo
About
games.
old games, yeah.
Specifically the system
Specifically
that it's on.
about the system
Yeah.
and the time period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fucked
like
up,
I was
huh?
shocked. So I'm
I'm
gonna
not
say
saying I'm
very
qualified or
uncommon.
anything, but I mean,
And no, I think you're qualified. So yeah, I'm gonna go very uncommon. I know that's like I might as well say rare. It's pretty fucking rare. But I do like I respect the fact they put all of the interesting dynamics into the game. They just made them really inaccessible, and I think that's fucked up. So I'm gonna say 2 stars.
2 stars.
And I think that is pretty generous.
okay.
So you're saying 2 stars, very
2 stars,
uncommon.
very uncommon.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 stars, very uncommon.
I'm gonna give
VC,
it
as we say in the biz.
VC.
Ian?
VUC.
Yeah, VC.
I'm gonna say that Flopsy gave this game. I'm gonna agree with very uncommon.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say that Flopsy gave it 3 stars.
3 stars.
Yeah.
3 stars very uncommon.
Yeah.
Very uncommon from both. 2 versus 3.
What about you?
I can't play
Okay,
because I already
okay.
I saw it.
And I do have to mention Flopsy is also out sick for this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Flopsy
yes.
is out sick, so
Nowhere near as sick as original Flopsy.
but according to Flopsy, aka the ultimate guide to the Super Nintendo by Pat Contry, courtesy of Monster Mold Mike and a shadowy benefactor, and also Big Dick Pie Baker Chris Vaughn for this episode.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Dragon, colon.
It's important that you
Man, you
include
almost
that.
missed it.
Oh,
Good
that was
job.
a misstep
Good
there.
catch.
It's just 2 totally different things.
Dragon, colon. The Bruce Lee story. Availability, uncommon.
Damn it.
2 stars.
John got it.
Oh,
2
got the-
stars.
got the rating,
Hit the
just not the.
stars.
Man, this was just uncommon.
It's just uncommon.
I'm curious as to the metrics.
I think when we are doing a game based on a wide release movie, uncommon is going to be
probably the lowest,
the rarest
Yeah.
it would be, because they're going to shit these out on pallets to get them out there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're going to mass produce these things to try strike while the iron is hot,
Or
but not
kinda
necessarily or kind of
hot.
hot.
2 years after the
Yeah.
fact. I feel like they
Yeah.
slept on it.
I agree.
But yes, but I understand your point. I
That's
agree.
probably video release. It was probably time to come out with the video
Probably.
release. So, I think we see uncommon because a lot of them probably ended up in Blockbuster dumpsters. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this was purchased a lot.
Right.
But I think they probably put a lot of them out there for the purpose of marketing the movie.
Well, talking about Blockbuster dumpsters, John's taking a potty break right now. But
Yeah.
while he's doing that, I want to ask you, based on the information about the availability and the commonality of the game, how much do you think it goes for loose?
Oh man, I'd say, even though it was I'd say with it being a popular movie and a well-known franchise, quote unquote, Bruce Lee, I'd say this one probably, despite its difficulty and its shortcomings, I'd say this one probably clocks in at around $42.
$42. Actual retail value of Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
Thank you.
For the Super Nintendo. Loose, on average, according to pricecharting.com, at the time of this recording, is $15.99.
I was way over.
This is within range for me.
You think you'd pick this one up?
If my immediately current situation were different,
Right.
I would buy this after we were done recording.
Right.
But I'm not collecting currently. That's on pause. But yeah, I feel like that's that. I feel like there's $16
And,
worth of
one of the-
collectability in game here.
Sure. And one of the things I would like to add to the mix here, and I didn't say this before, and we're pretty much done with this one, but for someone who really wants to put in the work, this would be a great time waster. I mean, if you really just have that kind of stamina and you want to, you might feel like you've accomplished something by getting through this game. So, I mean, for that particular audience, I think it would work.
Yeah.
But $15 is what we found out. The game
Little
is
man,
worth.
put that shit
In my
In my
hand.
hand. So,
Smokes the blunts. We smoke blunts.
so yeah. Anyway, Bruce's story.
Ian,
Yes, Dave.
we have permission from Tyler to do this.
Yes, we do.
If you were to give this game a beard that sums up how you feel about it, what beard? Why?
Damn it.
It never ceases to
He
make
does
me
it
laugh.
to make me laugh. And he knows it's
That's
gonna
the only
happen. He
reason I
knows
do
it's
it.
gonna
That's
do
the
it
only
every
reason.
time. It gets me every goddamn time, even when I'm in a bad mood. I would give it the mustache of Bill Krieger, played by Robert Wagner.
Yes.
The producer that fucked Bruce out of Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Much like this game fucked us out of a good fighting game experience.
That's
Thank
good.
you, thank you.
Bravo.
My first beards.
It was you coming out swinging.
Coming out swinging.
Yeah.
I'm in no way trying to compete with Tyler because he's the master of this, but I have a standard to adhere to.
Exactly.
I want to
No, I
honor.
feel like
I want to
you've
honor my
respected-
good friend Tyler by doing it right.
Absolutely.
I love when that man shows back up in the movie and his mustache is gone because I get to say, I acknowledge that time has passed.
He is not the same person that he was.
He has bettered himself
He has
and
evolved.
is showing it by having removed his facial hair.
And inviting Bruce back to the States to do new movies.
Surely he will not fuck Bruce this time.
Definitely not.
Ian,
Yes, Dave.
if you were to give this game a pair of glasses that sums up how you feel about it, what kind of glasses would you give it?
I would give it the glasses of young Bruce Lee from the lantern fight scene at the beginning against the sailors. Because at this time he was looking through the glasses with optimism and positivity,
Yes.
much like I wanted to see this game. And then, much like Bruce, I was let down again and again and again.
Fair.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's a good
no,
assessment.
That's,
My
that's
glasses.
good.
I approve.
I feel like, yeah, that sums up a lot.
I feel dirty. I don't want to do that again. Tyler, come back.
Tyler, come back.
Do
come back.
we let's just say we're going to decide what the next
Great.
episode is going to be off mics.
Yeah, we'll surprise everyone and ourselves.
I mean,
but-
everyone, literally everyone will
But
surprise.
it's going to be like a movie episode, right?
I don't know the answer to that. Hopefully,
We don't have enough time to do a movie game.
That
movie
it
game.
also depends
okay.
on when we do it and when we can do it and when Tyler's feeling well. I don't
Yeah,
know
he
that
may
we're
not
going to
be
be able to
ready.
do our regular
He may not be ready
regular
for
recording.
Thursday. We'll find out.
because
gonna
Nikki was
be-
down. She had something similar going on. And she was. I mean, she was out
Okay.
for 3 days.
Well, I mean, they
it
put
was
Tyler on
like-
some fucking hard, like medicine, hard
Like
drugs.
some pharmaceuticals.
He was not doing well.
My wife refused to go to the hospital.
Oh boy.
Was it Finnegan?
No, but I'm not at liberty to say what it was because of
'Cause, like,
HIPAA regulations.
I know, like, when some shit is serious, like with the digestive system,
Yeah.
Finnegan is involved.
And Tyler's got a stomach of steel. So
yeah,
for him
no,
to be,
like
for him
that's
to be
the thing.
affected,
I've seen that
you know
dude
it's a
eat
real
some
deal.
fucked up shit.
Yeah.
We are not
Well, this
doctors.
still-
This is not medical
this is not
advice.
medical
Do not
advice.
take this as medical advice. This is
Finnegan,
purely.
I don't know. It might work. I don't know. Might not. I don't know.
I'm just saying. Sorry.
Oh,
Well,
I'm fucking with you. No, it's all good.
Now I feel bad.
I don't think anyone got
about
through 2
making-
hours of Bruce Lee video game content. I was like, what's this guy have to say about my tummy's a little upset? What do these guys have to say about that?
Yeah, if you're coming here for that kind of advice,
Then again, the show's come up in court before, so there really is no
Whoa.
telling.
we'll get to we'll talk
Okay.
about that off
Fill
mic.
me in off the mics, please. I don't wanna-
Dude.
And we're not going to tell
Wow.
any of you listeners any of that. You're not getting it. You're not getting it in Patreon. You're not getting it in the Stinger.
Not.
Tough shit.
Yeah.
Don't ask.
Yeah,
The
okay.
answer is fucking no.
They probably won't even tell me. I don't even know what the fuck
We
they're
will.
talking about.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. You can find the show on iTunes,
Not
Stitcher,
SoundCloud.
not SoundCloud. Pretty much any fucking place podcasts are out.
YouTube. You can go on YouTube.
YouTube.
Dane.
It's on YouTube.
because Dane is the fucking man.
And we do have a lot of shit going on. But most importantly, Patreon.
That Patreon.
Patreon.
Got that Patreon. And
I like it when you give it the French.
I brought
Patreon.
I brought a little sound clip that I want to play in the mic. It's going to sound stupid and like shit, but I'm going to
No,
play it.
no,
It's
it'll be
okay.
great.
I can't wait to hear it.
I'm going to play it.
I've been on a cell phone the whole time. John's just had it pointed to the mic. Sounds good.
This is the part of the show.
No one would know.
This is the part of the show where we beg for money. And from one of my favorite shows, Parks and Rec, I would like to play this sound.
Okay.
I have done nothing wrong ever in my life.
I know this. And I love you.
I love you too, Daddy. Money, please.
Money, please.
Done nothing.
Money, please.
She's great. Mona Lisa is her name. I can't think of the last. Saperstein. Mona Lisa Saperstein. She's
God,
John
that is
Ralphio's
such-
sister.
A good fucking
All right.
show. God damn.
So we do have Patreon. It's patreon.com/TADPOG. For as little as $1 a month, you can get access to our bonus content. Fresh bonus content is on the way.
We got two we've recorded.
in the form of Dark Tower.
They're good.
When we get everyone feeling better and all this tragedy has exited our life for a while, we're going to record the rest of them. We're going to get them out there for you as soon as we can. But we do have a lot of good shit out there now. So give us a buck. Go listen to it. Tell us what you think. I'm not giving you your money back if you don't like it.
Hey, Ian
yes.
reads sex stories on that. So,
Yeah, there's
and
a-
you
it's
will
on there.
not. You will enjoy that,
It's funny.
no matter what. You
and
will
true.
enjoy that.
It's funny because it's true.
Exactly.
Every bit of it. But I'm not going to talk about that here. If you want to hear that, give
You
me
gotta pay
$1.
$1.
Money, please. If you'd like to become an executive producer, you can do that by giving us $20 or more per month. And we have a list of people who do that every fucking month. And these are great, wonderful, generous people.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, they're the best.
You're all generous. All of our donations are appreciated.
Extremely
But as
generous.
a special
Thank you.
shout out to our executive producers, I'm going to read those names now in a very specific order. Cubicle Monkey, Plinko, Nick Price, Usurper Grimm, Gamebug Prime, Nathan Eaton, Pinball, Airplane, Archmage, Chris Edler. Sorry you couldn't be on this episode. Derek Pope Sandwich, Cthusiast Jeff Miners, Drinksmith Joey Webster, Sandwich Pope Phil Hawkins, Louisville correspondent Princess Consuela, Banana Hammock Flavor Trick, Taryn Dahl. Congratulations on your marriage. And we have another executive producer, a new one. And I got to look it up real quick. I forgot. And I'm so sorry to have said, okay, wait, no, almost got it. I'm almost there.
He's almost there. He's so close.
Almost there.
He's
Thomas.
Almost. It's away.
Thomas just edited their. We got a notification this past week that our good friend Thomas just edited their membership to $20,
Which is the opposite of what a lot of people have been doing.
right. It went up. It went up.
Thank you,
It went up.
Thomas.
It doubled.
God damn,
And
Thomas.
It's Canadian dollars.
That's
or
like beaver pelts?
loonies or whatever. I don't know. That's even more than American $20, isn't it?
Homie,
I don't know.
not how
I don't
money
know anything
works.
about conversion rates.
You could take one look at me and be like, that guy definitely doesn't know how money works.
Hey, look.
You'd be right.
And
all
we're
I know
gonna-
is you better think about it.
Thomas, I'm bestowing
Nice
bestowing upon you the title Canadian Turbo Nerd right now.
Canadian
Turbo
Nerd
Nerd Thomas
Okay.
is our newest executive producer. Thank you for that generosity. Thanks to everyone for donating.
Yes.
And money, please. That's all I got.
You guys fucking rock, all of you.
Thanks. You rock too. Thanks for coming out
Yes.
Hey.
and hanging with us and
Yes.
Anytime.
helping fill out the show with the void. It's like a
Yeah, I know. It's like
feel
a
the
chasm
emptiness from this
over
side of
there.
the table. Tyler, we love you. We hope you feel better. We miss you.
Tyler, please come back.
Come back to us soon.
It is. It's like there's a black hole over there to my right.
I also forgot. Thanks to Dane again for putting the show on YouTube, and thanks to Brad for sending us email.
Yeah,
Brad
hey,
from Arizona, and
that shit was good. I really enjoyed
That
that, Brad.
is it. How do you guys want to close out the show tonight?
I have a lot of inappropriate options.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
Uh,
we could, I definitely know where I'm going with this, close it out. John, it looks like you have an idea.
No, I don't. No, I was very, very interested in where
he
you
fell
were
for it.
going.
He fell for it.
I mean, I was like, oh, he's got something.
I do. But I do.
And it's so big.
You're not going to believe it. And it's definitely not going to be a letdown at all.
And it deserves
I don't.
the longest, most drawn out build up ever.
That you could possibly imagine.
I don't think you could let me down.
Oh, boy. Oh, no pressure.
Man, I'm trying real hard to like, think of something.
Trying real hard here, Ringo.
trying
trying to be the shepherd.
real hard to be the shepherd.
Close out as Kane from Kung Fu.
Sure.
Wait, who?
Kane from Kung Fu, a.k.a.
Carradine?
David Carradine.
We got
Yeah,
there.
okay.
We got
Perfect.
there.
Good save.
Yeah, okay. That's safe.
So until next time, tropical. Cap.
Wait.
If you snatch the pebble from my hand,
I thought you were doing the guy from I thought you were doing the David Carradine character from oh my god.
I was choking to death.
Okay. That makes sense. He was run through with a sword.
see, that's how he died in real life.
Oh.
This autoerotic asphyxiation. The best jokes are the ones you have to explain.
That's the joke.
Yeah. I thought you were doing
My
Kill, I
eyes.
thought you were doing Kill Bill when he gets stabbed, but okay. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He doesn't
That's
get,
even better.
He doesn't get
That's even better.
stabbed. He gets killed with the 5-point palm
Oh, that's
exploding heart
right.
technique.
I need to rewatch both of those parts. I've
Been
seen
a
part
long
one a bunch of
time,
times,
yeah.
but part two I've probably only seen twice.
Part 1 is superior, but part 2 is good.
Yeah. I agree. At the time, I was like, part one is superior, but now I feel like years removed, I'm curious if that is still what I think.
Okay. Well, when we play the Super Nintendo version of Kill Bill Parts 1 and 2, we'll watch the movies and talk about them.
Kill Bill 1 is on the Game Boy. Kill Bill Volume 2 is on the Super Nintendo.
All right, that's it. Bye, everybody.
Bye, love you.
TADPOG is hosted and produced by Tyler Holland, Dave Moore, and Ian Chandler. New episodes publish Wednesdays each week and are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts are hosted. Have a question or comment for the hosts? Call us at 270-883-2555 and leave us a voicemail. If we like it, we'll play it on the show and respond. Want to send us something? You can do that at TADPOG Studios, care of Nicole Nance, P.O. Box 3785, Paducah, Kentucky 42002. If you absolutely must send us a food item, please use caution and good judgment when doing so. Tasty snacks that look or smell funky or are past their expiration date by the time we get to them will be thrown away. Bonus content is available at patreon.com/tadpog with a minimum donation of $1 per month. You can join in on the conversation by visiting our Discord at bit.ly/tadpogdiscord. Registration is free and we'd love to see you there. Thanks for listening, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our show so you don't miss an episode. Now, where did I put that stinger? Oh, here it is.
I'm not gonna lie. There are two movies. I gotta throw some Captain Gun Nerd shit in, but like there are two movies that make me want a Beretta 92. I have no reason to own a Beretta 92, but Die Hard and Lethal Weapon make me want to have a Beretta 92.
Yeah.
Girl, same.
Like just because, like for no other reason that I want to go out on the range and cosplay as Martin Riggs and fucking
John McClane.
John McClane, yes. I want to pretend.
That's all right. I wonder how much the cosplay guns are.
Like an airsoft gun?
Well, I guess. I don't know.
I figure that's probably what most cosplayers use. Is
Yeah, I have no
airsoft
idea.
weapons.
That makes sense, though, that they would. Henry got into like that airsoft YouTube rabbit hole for a minute. Yeah.
Dude, people take that shit super fucking serious. Like,
Boy, I know. Because I watched some dudes on there, and I got to be honest with you, man. I didn't say this out loud to my son, but when I was like on the third one of those videos where it's like super long, I was like thinking to myself, or you could just buy a gun.
yeah, it's the United States, bro. You can just get an actual gun, and,
Yeah.
but you don't get to shoot
you don't
actual
get to shoot
people
people
with it.
right.
So, you know,
Well, and they don't
or you're
let
not
you.
supposed to.
They're probably not going to also be able to take that into the con.
It's way less expensive too.
I don't know what they allow in cons. I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah.
can bring an airsoft gun into a con. I
You know,
feel
I hadn't
like
really thought about that, but yeah, they might frown on that because they don't want people popping off at each other. But
Right.
I can't. Yeah,
but I don't know. It might
but man,
depend
I've
on the
seen like
venue
the airsoft subreddit. I get stuff from them every now and then, just because people post like kind of cross post stuff from time to time. And man, like the money that these people spend on their fucking rigs.
I know.
Is pretty crazy.
Well,
I mean,
that's-
it's you're getting into like real
a
gun money.
I know. And that's like part of why I was thinking that, because he's like watching some guy and he's like trying to make it as powerful as possible, and it's like it kind of defeats the purpose, right? I mean, like
I think a lot of it is what they call like mil sim, where it's
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
you're actually doing
used that phrase.
using
Yeah.
that, you know, the same tactics and stuff as you would actually use. Like when I was in the army, like we would do stuff like that, but with blanks. And the problem with blanks is nobody's really getting hit, you
Right.
know.
You
Whereas
don't
in
know if
airsoft, you
someone's
know
hitting.
you got hit.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
now they do have. We never got to play with them because I'm not like. I was never like full blown infantry, right? But they do have actual sim rounds that fire a projectile that will hit you. That is like, you know, as long as you're wearing your Kevlar and your protective gear, you're not going to get hurt from it. You're fucking
You'll feel
gonna
it.
know you got hit.
Yeah.
And so you know they have that.
It's kind
but,
of
like,
going fast, huh?
yeah. Mostly we just use the blanks.
Yeah.
And fuck those things, man. They make the gun so dirty, and then you got to clean that son of a bitch afterward, and it sucks.
I never really thought about that. That makes sense.
like some of those airsoft dudes are like, I was just like, shit, man. These guys like they know what they're doing. They obviously
There's some hardcore
pay.
people for sure.
Yeah, they get really into it.
Henry was on that tip for about, I don't know, 3 weeks, and then I think he kind of fell off because he like was asking for one, and I was like, no. You come back in a couple of years, and
How old is he
We'll talk.
again?
He's 9.
9. Yeah. Like Charlie had a BB gun when he was probably 9 or 10, but
A BB gun I'd be okay with. Yeah,
You know, pump it between every shot. You're not going.
Yeah,
with
that's just
it.
what he wanted.
Yeah. Number one, those are expensive.
Yes.
Those full auto ones
Yeah.
are expensive. But like, plus, I wanted him to kind of learn more of the like fundamentals
Sure.
of it, rather than because I'm like, in real life, you're not going to be just spraying somebody down, you
Right.
know, like or spraying down a target. Like you're going to have to learn how to actually shoot with a BB gun, you know, or pellet gun.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said we can get one of those and go in the backyard and
Yeah.
mess around with
Shoot
it.
birds, traumatize yourself forever. This stinger brought to you by Captain Gun Nerd John Turley. When you absolutely positively need to know everything about guns, except no substitute.
You didn't tell me you were recording.
Oh, I'm always.
You never do.
recording. You guys ready?
Y'all, Yar.
Believe it!